Click, 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 click. Rice indeed. RSI Mantis. Oh, it's only the smallest of teasers for the RSI Mantis, really. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about what we believe the ship to be. Oh yeah, the music is incredibly loud. I'm not actually started yet either. Let me turn this down for you. Is that a bit better? Apologies. I am going to go grab a cup of tea. But yes, we will. It's only the smallest possible potential teaser for the RSI Mantis, but we'll talk about the ship and what we know of it. We'll talk about anything that people want to talk about. Put question in brackets if you would like to ask a question. I will be returning in about 5 minutes' time to actually start the stream properly. It's pretty loud to drown out my voice. Then it's going good, thank you. Apologies for the loudness there. My headphones have I've turned them down, so I didn't realise. But ask anything you want. Question in brackets. Doesn't have to be about Star Citizen, but it's probably better that we do talk about that. Feel free to chuck in your accusations of shill. That's always a good chuckle. Because I'm not making enough money to be a shill, mate. No money from CIG coming in yet. We can talk about the Nautilus, we can talk about caves, we can talk about 3.7, we can talk about CitizenCon, we can talk about concepts that are coming up, we can talk about whatever the fuck you want. Pardon my French. And I will be right back into Frastically. What year is it? It is 2019 currently. 2949 in Citizen. coming. I'm coming. Oh! That's a good sign of health, isn't it? That you creak when you sit down. Let's lower the volume of the music. Lower it further like that. It's just a little background. A little tiny bit of background music there. Pardon me. Bam. Hey. Oh no, it's all gone green and fuzzy. It's to do with how reflective my head is. Any given time. 1 second. Let's sort out my head reflections. Probably just do it with a white balance. Can we just raise the white balance? We fucking can. A little bit of white balance change. No more shiny head syndrome. Well, still got a shiny head. No. Yes. No. Perfect. What? Even better? Maybe. Everyone hear me? Hey. Hi. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're doing well. So today I will talk about whatever anyone else wants to talk about. But we'll have a brief little chatty about potentials for the RSI Mantis. Because it was sort of like teased in the concierge ladder. We'll look at that. We can talk about caves. We can talk about 3.7. We can talk about whatever. And then in about half an hour, there is a Star Citizen Live with John Crew talking about ships and Star Citizen, which might have some cool stuff in it. It might not. If we start watching it and it's trash, or at least maybe not trash, that's probably a bit harsh, but not interesting, then we'll just continue the live stream as is, answering questions. If it's interesting, then we'll watch that while answering questions. So let's have a quick look-see up here. So RSI Mantis, what is this? So let's start with this. So bam. Bring this up on the screen. Boom. So we've got the Chairman's Club newsletter, the concierge newsletter, which is basically saying, oh, that we've got lots more concierge members because everyone bought 890 jumps, which isn't true, but, you know, lots of people bought 890 jumps and got their accounts over $1,000. And then, at the end of the newsletter, it says, our eyes and ears on Earth have been dropping hints that something new is coming from RSI. As usual, at the moment, we have more details. You will too. And typically, the concierge newsletter will tease the next concept sale or ship. And we have this, which has the name Star Citizen RSI HQ, but it's just a little teaser picture of like concept art for, I'm assuming, somewhere on Earth, where the RSI headquarters would be. Is it New York? Is that where the RSI headquarters are? $1,000 concierge members of plebs. Thanks, CitizenCon. But the expectation is that RSI thing is going to be the Mantis. And the Mantis was in Star Citizen leaks a while ago on their Discord, and they said, oh, we found something in the code or whatever, and it appears that there is a RSI Mantis heavy fighter that looks like it may be flyable, and the leak suggested that it was going to be ready for CitizenCon. Now, CitizenCon changes and evolves, and CIG change their plans all the time, so it's very possible that the RSI Mantis is now going to just be the next concept sale after the Nautilus, which is, I think, very possible. In fact, I would expect that CIG would probably try and continue a chain of sales until Christmas now, of either concierge ships, straight to flyable ships, or sales in some way. So that just kind of makes sense marketing wise. CIG, the reason that I get I get quite a lot of the, I think this is going to happen next, and a lot of the time that is the case. It's just because CIG are quite deliberate in their actions, and they're not that complex in what they're doing next. It's stuff changes, yeah, but when it comes down to sales and things, we can talk about some CitizenCon stuff. Like, as I said quite a long time ago, I think there's going to be a new system shown at CitizenCon. That's months and months and months and months ago. Some other content creators and Star Citizen leaks have since come out saying that appears to be the case. Again, not confirmed, but that's what it looks like. Even the suggestion on CitizenCon, sort of like the media and sort of like blurbs for it are very sort of exploration based, and it just leads me to believe that it's very likely that they'll show off a new system. And as I've again talked about previously, it makes sense for them to make either the Magnus or Pyro systems, and well, Pyro is much more sensible, and then continue that chain of systems to the Odin system, because then you have Pyro, then you have Nyx, and obviously they've got Dalamar as well already in the standard system, which is supposed to be in the next system. We've got the Odin system that's been made for Squadron 42, and it's all also like in a chain, and it's sort of they're relatively simple systems to make. Pyro does have I believe some weird solar effects going off. The star there is unstable, but yeah. What else have we got question-wise at the moment? Help, I melted my entire fleet, minus my 350R, and bought the 15,000 pack just to get the Idris M. I now own the Idris M. What happened to buying everything in-game? What? But at some point, you should be able to buy everything in-game. There might be a couple of ships which are promo ships, like the Saber Raven, which are harder to get, but I suspect you'll still be able to buy them off backers and other people that have got them. I am expecting 3.7 to go to Evocati end of next week. Morning potatoes. It is going well, thank you very much. CIG fix stupid boxes falling through ships. I'm hoping that is the 3.7 fix. They have been talking about their staggered development, and 3.7, although is not truly the first staggered development patch, 3.8 I suppose will be, it is still supposed to be significantly more polished than previous patches. So let's see if that's true. I'm just drinking some standard black tea. With milk. It's the tea's called black tea. Tea's not like black coffee. Star Citizen is a first-person shooter crossed with a space combat and economy game, sort of like mishmashing every genre of game you can think of together into this like weird sandbox universe. It has a single-player campaign, Squadron 42, which is an FPS campaign which is supposed to rival any AAA game, akin to Wing Commander, spiritual successor from obviously many years ago, and then we've got Star Citizen, which is the MMO world. Squadron 42 coming out significantly sooner than Star Citizen. However, Star Citizen is currently playable in its alpha, and every 3 months gets an alpha update. So it's playable in this big sort of like, well, at the moment, a single system, but it's just huge, single star system. How many coffee mugs does it take to buy you? I only take teacups and saucers. Do you think the Nautilus is overpriced? Vastly, yes. Was it 675? It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a ship that you can get in game, and I think so. CIG have slowly increased and crept up prices of new concept ships, and like the original, some of the original ships for like the Bounty Merchantman, and I think was the Carrick also 250? Was it $300 originally? But they sort of like crept those ships up in price significantly over time, or at least a little bit for the older ones. But the newer ships, even if they're smaller, even if they're not as powerful, I suppose, and not as top tier, they are going up and up and up in price. So sort of bear that in mind. I think the Nautilus is severely overpriced. Is the RSI Mantis heavy fighter the next concept ship? I'm expecting that to be the case. Have they said how many harvestables will be one for SCU? No, but typically it's 100 an item, isn't it? But we don't really know. It might be entirely different per item. They need to standardize all that stuff at some point. When are we going to see jump points, aka Hull C or other star systems? I'm expecting to see that at CitizenCon. When it's in our hands is a different story. So seeing it in a sort of like enclosed environment, CitizenCon almost certainly. Probably see the Pyro system, or at least another star system. There's expectations of seeing the Carrick, exploration gameplay, some of the general 3.8 near future gameplay, which will be near future, just sort of like straight after CitizenCon, or within a few weeks of CitizenCon. And we'd probably see Jump Point, Carrick, the Pisces, and the Hull C, I believe, still part of the 3.8 patch. Where'd the rumour that the Pisces could carry a rover start? I saw people talking about it on Reddit. That is where I saw it. Where's my egg? What is Chris Roberts doing at this very moment? I don't actually know. Probably coding the physics key refactor. And going, oh god! Coding has changed. Idris or spend $1,350 to get my car to pass its MOT. I don't drive. I haven't got a driving license. Okay? So for me, I'd find Idris. However, sensible people, and I suggest that mature people, would purchase anything in real life that's important first. If you need your car, and you're going to be using your car, get your car to pass its MOT. Repair your car. Don't need your car, sell it. But no, I think people can sort of like, you can work out if you're addicted to something, like gaming addiction as it's now deemed, or addicted to whatever, is if you don't need it, if it's sort of like a comfort or a hobby or whatever, and you will prioritize that over something that you need for your life, for your job, to eat or drink or whatever. So you go, no, I don't need to eat or drink, I can buy an interest, then you've got a problem. Oh, GR, thank you very much. Trying to think of something witty to say, but I've got nothing. Bored at work, so watching Bored. Come back to me. I can do better. No worries, GR. Thank you so much for the donation. Very much appreciated. I can love your face. You can do better. Just give me more money. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. You are a star. I will probably start somehow working out, because Zin's going to be working with me, and Zin are still working out when she's going to start working for me and stuff like that. Keep on talking about it every day. I'm like, yeah. I want to get her starting to work for me when I can sort of like afford it, but it's also sensible to be able to teach her how to do everything, because I don't want to be in a situation where there's nothing to do, or we've got nothing to do in Star Citizen. So as Star Citizen gets more and more sort of like built up, we're closer and closer to being able to do that. And it should be any month now that happens, but does mean I need to start earning more money, producing more videos, doing more streams. So the donations and people just following and watching and everything does really help. So Aztec, who make fantastic coolers and pumps and that sort of stuff, have sent me a load of BoredGamer radiators, which I'm going to be, one of them at least, is going to be used in my personal PC. One of them is going to be used in a Star Citizen build that I am making for playing Star Citizen, but like at the extremely high level, with some of the new Ryzen stuff. So that'll be exciting, which we'll start to talk about more soon. You should give Aztec some love, because yeah, I will happily shill for them. Oh, they're fucking bam. Shill for these bad boys. I love shilling for things I like. Isn't that good, eh? What else have we got? What else have we got here? I do like Eradicator's stuff. Is it Dig It? He's making some good videos as well recently. The reflectiveness of Bored's head is creating distortions in the space-time continuum. It's actually how you interdict. I'm not sure I'm doing this. Interdict people is with my shiny head. Shite! donated $10. Thank you very much. Happy Friday. RSA Mantis is the next concept ship according to the latest Concierge newsletter. Let's talk about size 6 torpedoes. Maybe being on the Mantis Harbinger is stuck with size 5s. Thanks, bud. I know you want your big torpedoes, eh? Riviere, thank you very much, Riviere. Thank you very much for the sub. Premier Boris, thank you very much for the resub. 6 months. Oh my god, that's a long time. Oh, thank you very much, guys. Very much appreciate it. I fucking love you. What's up, planes that are flying? Clouds. Space. What is the process after harvesting quantum travel fuel? So we don't 100% know yet. They talked about quantum matter being potentially a solid that you'd have to mine by hand or via a mining ship. And then you can somehow transfer that to the Starfarer, which will then process the quantum matter into quantum fuel. But we don't 100% know yet, because CIG haven't obviously implemented the mechanic. Unpopular opinion: Jared Huckabee's mannerisms are kind of annoying. I mean, you can have that opinion, I suppose. I try not to bash people based on their mannerisms and stuff. I suppose things can annoy you. You can say you don't like the way someone does something, and that's fine. Yeah, I like Jared. I think I wanted him to do Plato's allegory of the cave in the last Inside Star Citizen when he was explaining stuff, and I think he got talked out of it. The cave episode was very good. It was a very sort of like deep dive into caves. But I quite like Jared. I think I like his mannerisms. But again, you don't have to. Some people like watching me, some people don't like watching me. It's all good. People are entitled to their opinions and their tastes. I'm far more excited for the removal of hover mode. So, this is interesting because I'm not 100% sure if they're totally removing hover mode or just changing it so that it's the assist mode. But what happens when you turn off the assist mode? Do you just travel at a constant speed? Like, do you speed up and fly off? Or is it going back into hover mode? I got a bit confused there, so I'm interested to see how they do that. Why do we need another concept cell? Development as a service. Oh my god, using my own terms! Thank you very much, appreciate it. Development as a service is something I coined a while ago. Well, I think I coined. Hope I did. Why do we need another concept cell? Because every 6 weeks to 8 weeks, CIG do a concept cell as part of their general monetization model. It is literally what they do. It makes sense. They make money from it. They want to keep on expanding out the verse. It doesn't mean that all development is shifted to concept cells and ships. And they have a team of 25 to 30 people that are dedicated for ships. Scam as a service. Do you think the new big anvil ship at CitizenCon or the first showing of the Carrick? I think we'll see the Pisces. I think we'll see the Carrick. I think we'll probably see another anvil ship as well. But I suspect the Pisces will go on sale. Another anvil ship will go on sale. What the fuck is the RSA Mantis? We believe it to be a heavy fighter that may potentially already be internally flyable, and that is probably going to be the next concept cell. It was probably going to be at CitizenCon, but then there was obviously leaks about it, so they probably pushed it forward, or just rescheduled when stuff's happening. It was in the Concierge newsletter that there's something new from RSI coming out, and that's typically what they say just before a new concept ship comes out. Expect it to be almost directly afterwards, within a few days of the Nautilus ending. That would be my expectation. Mighty Wraith! Mighty Wraith! That's the sound of a Wraith. Mighty Wraith, thank you very much. Bleer, 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 bleer. Thank you very much, Plimo, for the sub. Thank you very much, Blasty McNasty, for the sub. Thank you for the huge raid, Mighty Wraith. Very much appreciated. I can't fucking words. The only marketable thing about me is the fact that I can talk. Now, today I cannot. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. I will remember that, Mighty Wrath. Oh, see, this is why content creators host each other, because they're like, get the karma in. Get that fucking karma in. Now he owes me. I fucking owe you. Thank you. Appreciate me. I hope your stream went well. I'm a few minutes behind I can see that I'm a few minutes behind, but I've got multiple chat windows now open, so I can see the current thing I'm looking at, as well as the new stuff. So now I can move between both of them using my eyes. And be like, wham, bam, what's going on? Answer questions all over the fucking shop. Any advice on the loadout for the Raven? I find it pretty weak. It will change over time. They need to rebalance everything like that. They need to get the EMPs in good working order. So they said that some caves might look lived in. Do you think we'll see actual loot in some of these caves? Yes, even at the first stage. That would increase the appeal to explore them. Yeah, so I believe in 3.7 you'll see loot. You obviously see harvestables and minables in them. There's a secret cave as well. A secret cave type. There's traversed and not traversed caves. So I suspect that the untraversed ones will have much more in the way of mineral wealth inside them, whereas the other ones might have some interesting loots inside them. I don't think we're seeing actual living AI and NPCs in the first iteration, though. We might see some dead ones then, which is maybe where you'll see some loot. Do you think the ship like the Carrick will be able to scan cave systems and make a map of sorts? I think they will. There has to be abilities to be able to scan FPS, sort of like scan areas, whether that's on the ground or you have to be in the cave or you can do it via ship. I don't know. They are working on 3D maps of complexes, so maybe you can map stuff as you go through them and then sell that data. A little bit complex as a mechanic, but something I do think would be really great in Star Citizen. I'd love to be able to map things like that more fully. Well, you keep me interested in this game, brother. Well, thank you very much. I've appreciated it. It's not necessarily my intention to... well, I suppose it is to keep people interested in news for the game. Oh, thank you very much. Maka75, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Very much appreciated. Oh, there's lots of ways you can support the channel. We'll talk about that at the end, though. I don't want to overly chill myself. Do you think that a ship like the Carrick will be able to scan cave systems? Making matter. We talked about that. Question, I went overboard over the years buying enough ships to melt 15,000 credits. But like a loon, I melted it all and bought the Idris M pack. Okay. That is madness. A lot of money. A lot of money. We've got Star Citizen live in 2 minutes, so let's try and mash through some questions quickly before that. Does CIG underappreciate backers who make significant donations to support the game? I don't necessarily think so. Individually, probably, yes, because obviously they have to sort of like approach everyone neutrally as a group. I just like the whole concierge concept with silly monocles and top hats. If it was very low effort, I think a lot of the concierge like the low effort, sort of like, you've got a monocle, fuck you. If you could get 10 mates in 3 ships for convoy security gameplay, what ships would you use? It depends exactly what I'm doing. It's ships for purpose. Are you data running? Are you taking huge cargo? Exactly what's going on. Are you transporting VIPs? Is one of them a hauler? It's ships per mission per purpose. And it's going to change based on what system you're in, what you're fighting, where you're moving from and to. I gave up heroin for Star Citizen. Oh my god. Perfect. What do you get when you put a pen and a pineapple together? Apple pen? I got an apple. I got the pen. Apple pen. No? Do you really feel that liquid cooling is superior to air-cooled systems? Yes. And yes, I used to use Noctua for my air cooling. And they are fantastic. But I believe liquid cooling is just more efficient. Not in all situations. It depends on the pumps and the stuff you get. You mentioned one of your streams that ship upgrades stay with the ship even after destroyed. Mine seems to revert to the base model every time. Am I doing something wrong? They should stay. The changes that you make should stay. Who is Zin? Zin is Zinnia. She's one of the girls you'll hear occasionally on my streams. We play games together a lot. She's one of the best friends in the world. But she's going to be working for me and doing basically what I do. So it's another me. But she's going to be primarily an editor. But it will be for recording and stuff like that as well. I am going to bring up... Yes?
Hey everybody, this is our audio test. This is the sound of my voice.
I'm doing some audio tests at the moment.
Hey John Crew, what does your voice sound like?
My voice sounds nothing like your voice.
That's probably a good thing for you.
Uh,
I'm a little nasally normally.
let's do this.
You sound fine now.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully you can see
worked to
that.
get better. Dave Colson, what did you
CIG shill, lol.
I sound like this. No one can tell where I'm from because of my accent. So perfect.
It's not where you
All
think.
about starships.
We had that conversation before.
It's all about
I
spaceships
don't
today.
remember where you said you were from.
Hopefully they'll tell us some
Yeah,
interesting
nobody-
stuff.
nobody
It's
does.
not trash.
The fourth concentric circle of hell. All right, guys, that's the show. We'll see you next week.
Wow.
Bye.
All right, guys, that's the show. We'll see you next week.
Oh. We've got an echo. Got a forever echo. Yes, we are going to watch The Thing if that's what people want. But if it's trash or shit, then we're not going to watch it. If it's trash or shit, then we're going to continue with my normal stream. Pineapple Pen, close enough. Oh my god, it's Pineapple Pen, not Apple Pen. I'm an idiot. Sure, Harob. Thank you very much for the... I don't know what I said your name out. I can't do names, okay? I don't have the ability. My brain doesn't work like that. I'm dyslexic. I can't... New words, new names do not work in head, okay? I need to know the word. Thank you very much for the super chat, though. Very much appreciated. Jadis, thank you very much for the resub. You're a fucking legend. And Melocan, thank you very much for the Pineapple Pen. $2 donation. Very much appreciated. All your money goes into my special party account where I then dance the night away with beautiful ladies in the night. That YouTuber money, though. When Scorcher 42 and Star Citizen Race, do you intend to use a keyboard and mouse? Yes. I will use HOTAS, probably more when I do VR stuff or more immersive stuff, probably when I'm not recording. But when recording, or just for the first few times I play it, keyboard and mouse all the way. Much more easier to use, and you can go into a first-person mode straight away without having to go, oh!
You guys liked the first audio test so much, we're doing another one.
Good job
This
for
is
the audio
another
test.
Audio test. This is the sound
I'm looking
of my
seriously into
voice.
getting dual
Hey,
sticks.
John Crew, what is your voice
Do you know of a good
sound
resource that talks about the setup?
My voice
Noobifier.
sounds like this.
Search for the Noobifier Star
I think
Citizen.
you got some echo there.
He talks loads about it.
Sort that out.
Now, don't do a fake echo. We're trying to see what the... I mean, this is a big echoey room. There's always some amount of echo. We're trying to see if it's the normal echo. Or
It's not the normal echo.
I can't hear an echo.
Hello? Hello?
The echo was
Alright,
once someone's
now
mic,
this is-
literally. They're fucking around the mics now. You could will be able to unload all mine stuff into Prospector cargo. So mining, FPS mining in 3.7 is going to be you mine with a hand tool, and then that goes into your personal commodity inventory, or you can pick it up off the floor or whatever, and then you can deploy it as a box on the floor. It's separate from the prospector mining. And the prospector mining, I'm not sure how it's going to
everybody,
compress.
welcome to another edition of Star Citizen Live, all things flyable. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee, and joining us on the show this week, we're getting right to it.
The prospector's cargo boxes on its side fill up.
We've got John Crew and
You'll
Dave
be able to
Coulson.
choose what you
John,
like
Dave,
discard
how you
from
doing?
those boxes, but not what goes into them. Well, especially
If
we'll
we
be able to
were
choose
the
what goes
three
into them.
amigos,
But
I would be Lucky Day, you would be Ned Leaderlander, and you're definitely I forgot the third one.
I don't know what the amigos are.
oh my god, you're the worst.
Dave's
Dusty
not watching any
Bottoms.
films
Dusty
or
Bottoms.
TV,
Yeah, you
so
know,
you
you're
wouldn't
Dusty
understand.
Bottoms, you're Ned Leaderlander. Just so you know.
Okay.
All right, guys, on the show this week, we are talking all things flyable.
Yes, I do expect we
All
will
the
have
questions about
player
the
manufacturing
ships that are currently flyable in
twist
Star
to an
Citizen,
extent.
as well as the ships that are coming up in our upcoming Alpha 3.7. As usual, we spent the week collecting questions.
Not
from
aware of the
Spectrum,
Carrick holding different
our
probes.
communication platform available on robertspaceindustriescom, where folks submitted their questions throughout the week and then voted them up. We'll also be taking questions live from the chat, where you can submit your questions with the word question in capital letters surrounded by brackets. That's going to help our community management team.
I do expect that we will see FPS Vandal at CitizenCon. Yes, I expect that's a thing.
Number one. John,
Okay, volume-wise?
Dave, you ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. How do you plan to balance fuel usage and range for capital ships like the 890 Jump that are designed for long-distance touring? I have a feeling this question comes from from the excessive fuel use. Well, we don't want to. It uses a lot of fuel for the 890.
They are working on other alien ships, like the Prowler, which is a Tavaran ship.
Oh, now I can hear myself with an echo. That's weird. So the 890 fuel consumption is definitely a bug in 362. It's fixed in
Fantastic.
3.7. It's a combination of the
Good to know.
fuel
890
intakes
jump fuel consumption
not
is
regenerating
definitely a
as much as
bug.
they should have done, and the thrusters using more than they should have done. So it got into a state where it was almost never regenerating fuel. So we've fixed that, which will help with that main issue. But also the sort of the setup in 360
I'll tell you, is a prettier me.
Case scenario for using big ships, in that we don't have the in-orbit or deep space locations to spawn these big ships, and we don't have the places in space
Not a full
to refuel
speed.
the big ships. So to use them and refuel them, you have to go in and out of atmosphere, which is the most fuel-intensive point of any journey. And with the aforementioned bug, it was leading to very undesirable behavior. So fix the bug for 3.7, which should help things. And then as the rest stops and other locations come online in the future, that will help it be a more enjoyable experience. They're always going to use lots of fuel. They will be able to regenerate fuel if they're suitably equipped, which the 890 is. And then from there, it's just using analytics and balance tools to make sure it's performing where we want.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance now.
890 jump is expensive, yo.
We've said for a long time that operating these larger ships, these capital ships, especially a super yacht like this, is going to be an expensive proposition. You want it to consume a lot of fuel.
Yeah. Not as much as it is now.
Not as much as it is now. And of course, consuming fuel is only half of it. We also
so with the Merlin and the Parasite ship docking system, I don't know if they're going to get it done now this year.
Upcoming ship-to-ship docking feature
there we go.
Include Constellation snub docking.
There you go.
The Caterpillar's command section detaching.
The Constellation snub, it absolutely will.
Wow.
Caterpillar will
That's
eventually,
big.
but it's more difficult because we have to effectively disconnect the thing that controls the ship, and then we lose the control of this ship. So it's not like two ships docking, but it's more like a part of one ship
splitting.
Docking. Yeah, and getting that to work is a little bit more difficult, but we do want it to work, and it will work.
Yeah, because there's sort of three
That's
distinct
fantastic.
docking mechanics. There's only two on the roadmap. There's ship-to-ship, which is
the
Constellation Merlin or two other ships using their docking ports together. There's ship-to-station, which is as it says, and then there's that side of it.
Which is I guess you could call it composite ship docking, where you've got ships in pieces, I guess.
And the Endeavour would be the same.
Yeah, we need to come up with a term for it, because the Caterpillar
Good question,
splitting
Riddick.
and reattaching is not ship-to-ship docking, because it's one ship.
Oh, I can't believe they're actually going to get
it's
the Parasite docking working.
I'm sure people will fill the comment section with their suggestions. And hey, start a spectrum thread. What do you want us to call it? I'm not promising anything, but we'll look at ideas.
That's in
All right,
3.8.
number 3.
End of the year.
Are there any plans to allow pilots to get up from the piloting seat without deactivating engines or propulsion?
There's actually a bug that I have not been able to fix yet, but it's a bug caused by the networking system, where the networking system for ships, we need to give control of the ship back to the server when you get out. And so when that happens, the server currently isn't being correctly told what the controls that you were giving it.
We need to be able to get up of our seats.
And so when you get out the seat, the server's like, well, what am I supposed to do with the ship? And it just goes back to the default controls, and then the ship will stop. But yeah, it's just a bug that we need to work through and figure out the best way to solve that, and then it'll be fixed.
So not an intentional feature that when you get up, the ship just shuts down.
Yeah, no, that's just a bug.
Okay. Number 4, we're burning through these. Will the 890 jump receive the 2 additional dedicated point defense turrets? And will the existing weapons be sized up one level? Let's do the first one, because we've talked about the first one a couple times before.
Actual tangible questions
let's talk
getting
about the point
answered.
defense turrets
What
for the
is
890
this? This is great.
There's no plans to add any additional turrets, but what will happen will be some of the existing remote turrets will be automatically turned into point defense with AI blades, so they will function as the point defense. I think it's already got 1 or 2 more than the original brochure amount had, and that's what they're for.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this the last time the three of us were all together back in July, when I was in the Winslow studio. But so people understand eventually, and you can actually check this out on the Shipyard series of articles that are available on robertsspaceindustries.com. Literally, it's just on the main page. Just scroll down a bit, and you'll see a whole little bar with all the Shipyard articles about how this stuff works. AI blades will be a thing that you'll be able to install into ships in the future, and you'll turn those remote turrets into automated turrets.
Which I loved saving those turtles. That was so fucking random.
Yeah, this point defense is sort of the old name that we used to call them by. People still use it, but yeah, turrets can be will be able to be modified in the future. So a man turret, you can man it with a human. If you don't have any human friends on board, you could hire an NPC, or you could use a blade to slave it to the pilot seat, or you could use a blade to automate it. And it's the same for remote.
So really what we've done is we've taken turrets that originally were only automated, and we've now given them the opportunity to be automated or remote controlled.
Or slaved.
So it's actually an upgrade.
Technically, yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. Next question. With the new stability assist feature coming online, I believe we're calling it proximity assist, coming online, how does it differ, improve
remote control
upon hover
slaved
mode?
or AI?
Does it replace hover mode, or
big.
is it meant to complement it?
It's meant to replace hover mode in the sense that it is going to get closer to the goal that we wanted without sort of the sacrifices that we had to make with hover mode. Like, hover mode was a really cool
So it replaces hover mode
in terms of how it controlled, but it just turned out to not really be suitable for our game. There was just so many situations where it wasn't really ideal, and a lot of levels and stuff and ways we've set up things weren't designed around flying with hover mode. And so
slavery is in Star Citizen. There's slavers in Squadron 42. NPC
so proximity assist will replace it, such that the VTOL animations that we currently have in hover mode, where you go into hover mode and it will automatically play the VTOL animations, that's now separated to a button that is a mode. It's a button that will be a button in the cockpit as well at some point, where you press the button and the VTOL thrusters rotate by themselves now, or they rotate when you press the button, and that's separated from proximity assist, so you can have them rotated down without having proximity assist on. And then when proximity assist is on, it's quite a subtle system. It's very easy to forget that it's even there, which is how it's been designed. The idea is that as you're flying low to the ground and near stuff,
more precise movements,
controls nicer and more accurately.
That's what I want. That's all I
Unless
wanted. Dave
are really,
Gosson.
finely attuned to your ship's thrusters, you almost forget that it's there. You can think of it like an assist, like it's just helping you fly low and close to things without, flying around like you're a hummingbird or something, right?
Right. I think this speaks to one of the greatest benefits of running a live environment in the middle of our development, that we're able to take a patch, section 3.6, try out a drastically different feature, and then see it in the wild with thousands and thousands of people running it through a multitude of situations, far beyond what our already dedicated QA team can do, and we could see it out in the wild and observe it for a period of time, and then make these changes like you've done. So I think this is a wonderful example of the entire Star Citizen development process working.
Yeah.
So
there's more. There's one thing I want to mention on top of that, is that there's a piece as well that we haven't got in 3.7 that will also be coming to help replace what hover mode was, which is the system where we are going to scale down the strength of thrusters in atmosphere. And that seems like, subtle, unless you kind of think about the ramifications of that for a second, and you realize that that's really significant. And what we can do with that is, for ships, say, that have VTOL thrusters, we can set their efficiency curves such that they're barely able to hold themselves up in atmosphere unless they rotate their VTOL thrusters down. And so that is what gets us this, not being able to hover on your end with a ship that has those rotating thrusters, because those front thrusters won't be strong enough in atmosphere to hold you up. So you have to rotate your thrusters down, and then you have to kind of.
We have talked about this before, but.
And then in space, nothing changes, obviously, because there's no atmosphere
We
there.
won't know what it's like until it's in our hands.
Yeah, that's
so
an important component that I want to
these changes.
make sure is understood, that that's also part of this, because it may seem initially that
I'm looking forward to Prisons as well,
making a
mate.
backward step with taking out hover mode, but it's just us more carefully reevaluating it and getting closer to that goal that we originally wanted,
Yeah,
right?
like I say, it will get us back to the goal of stopping ships moving around like hummingbirds, whilst also pointing nose down. So we've done the first bit, which will reduce the hummingbird stuff, and the next bit will be...
They don't refer to it
hopefully without all
as a helicopter. They refer to it as a hummingbird, which I think is probably more
upside
accurate.
down or smashing into hangars or no-flight zones.
Yep, absolutely.
I was never very good at landing to begin with, and it
Hopefully proximity assist makes it much easier now. You should have less of a problem.
It looks like it. I haven't been able to give it a try yet. Going back to the second part of the 890 jump question, John, will existing weapons be sized up one level to be on par with smaller ships like the Constellation 600i and Corsair?
I wouldn't expect so.
It's something we're keeping an eye on. For the 890, a lot of its prowess is in its defensive capabilities and being able to tank that and just avoid combat. Or avoid long duration combat. We can't just simply size up the guns because they're built to fit into those cavities on the ships, and they don't fit in. If we were going to do a offensive increase, we'd probably quad mount the guns on those turrets instead, which would give you a similar effect. Also, those ships like the 600i and the Constellation are always being looked at in terms of whether they are punching above their weight class.
Well, it would be very hard for the 890 jump to punch above its weight class.
Yeah.
Its weight class is pretty insane. I'd be afraid of that ship if it punched above its weight class.
But yeah, we're always looking at all the ships and where they sit against each other, and sometimes things need to change. Sometimes we just want to weather it a bit before doing snap changes to it. Because I think the Constellation originally on those nacelle guns was only size 3s, size 4s, and over the years it's crept up to 5s.
Yeah, well, the whole scale of our weapons have changed since the 890 was originally introduced.
And for a lot of our ships, just
is
because
interesting
day one
information.
They said they had these size guns and these amounts.
Who knew?
They will always end up with those. If for the betterment of the game they need to change, then we'll change them.
And for those watching at home, yes, we said punch above our weight class, so drink.
Oh.
Moving on. Where are we at? Oh, that's where we're at. Okay. Ships like the Buccaneer and the 325A are, quote-unquote, interdictors, but don't have EMP, stock distortion weapons, or any speed advantages over light fighters.
I suppose you just
what
have to
attributes
catch
separate an interdictor from a light fighter or any other role?
Aren't they?
I think this question.
Name-wise, interdictors is probably the wrong name for those. They perhaps would go back to, I think we used to call them interceptors.
Interceptors, yeah. Right.
So we'd probably look at changing that just as a phrasing, because yeah, interdictors should really have that loadout changes that were suggested there. But in law, they're always supposed to be better in a straight line. So like real-world interceptor craft, like the old Lightnings.
Acceleration.
Yeah, they're faster main acceleration. They're designed to
That
get
makes
from
sense.
point A to point B fast, do some damage whilst everything else turns up.
They would also, in terms of balancing gameplay above SCM speeds, they would also have an advantage.
Yeah.
So they're able to be more effective at higher speeds, even though they might not have that different of a speed cap. They're just better at higher speeds.
Yeah, no, the 300 series has generally been pretty good on the straight line. That's where the differences between the 300 series and the M50 always were. The M50 was more. I'm just remembering the days racing through.
I think
Rickard
basically
speed.
they have higher SCM speeds.
Okay, next question.
But not higher actual speed caps.
What will be the
you know what I mean?
advantage? What will be the advantage of rotating thrusters on? We kind of already talked about this. What will be the advantage of rotating thrusters on smaller ships like the Reliant, the Cutlass, and the Terrapin if all ships seem to be able to be capable of hovering in place? We already touched on this with your.
Yeah, that's pretty much answered by the efficiency curves.
Why?
All right, Alfred, love your face.
Why do you hate Drake?
And you,
ships?
JP Sandman, and you, Datus,
I
and you,
don't hate
Shite,
Drake ships.
and you, Flymo.
Unfair.
There's
You all get some love.
Um,
Houdini, you were right as
yeah,
well.
they've got a very conflicting.
I'm expecting 3.7 to be on the
their original
PTU,
lore.
at least at Evocati
for
by the end of
me,
next week.
They are armored, they are tough, but when you compare them against like dedicated military armored craft, they are
Not
weaker.
good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say not as good.
Fair
They're
enough.
good in certain roles. You get into the trap that I fall into.
Yep, fair enough.
So some of them are weaker by virtue of their design. Like the Buccaneer has one of its main engines on one of its very large, proportionally to its size, wings. So if you lose that, then that is a problem. But they're also armored appropriately for their role. The Cutlass is quite tanky. I think the Cutlass is, looking at the analytics, our second or third most played ship by actual time.
Oh, shit,
It's a
son.
really good ship.
It's there with the Vanguard, which is, if you're judging things,
That's just
purely
my
on their
expectation.
armor,
Ree!
those two are
What a beautiful name.
pretty tough, and I wouldn't say the Cutlass is weak. Sort of, it has other attributes to make up for it.
VoIP will have two
As a-
modes.
as-
It will be
as a
a
follow-up-
Always
speaker
about
system
armor.
in helmet,
Yeah, as a follow-up to that,
And
why
also,
would somebody want to fly a Drake ship?
distance-based. What is
They
that?
are generally cheaper in terms of
proximity
maintenance
based.
costs. They have less things on them. They have cheaper
Sort of like
items
two
to
different
replace.
modes.
They're often lighter and more maneuverable.
But yes, in the future, blood.
And like I say, they do other things like the Cutlass can carry a large amount of cargo. You can get a vehicle in the back of it. Other competitors can't really do that.
Yeah. I think it could easily be argued that the Cutlass is probably one of the most versatile ships in the game right now. Speaking
Absolutely.
completely from a personal standpoint.
I totally agree with
Yeah,
Disco on that.
It's got a
Cutlass is
it's got
probably the
cargo,
most versatile
it's got
ship in the
space
game
for
currently.
Lots of people
That's
on board.
Available in game.
You can solo it. You can multi-crew it. It arguably does
Step
everything.
up from the
I feel like it has a very
Venture Titan.
large-sized cargo area compared to its size.
Yeah,
for,
it's
you know,
not
as
that far
opposed
off
to a lot of
the
our ships.
Freelancer, which those two are always twinned
Yeah.
in lore.
Next question. Why do you hate Drake ships? No. Any updates on the Banu Defender / Banu Merchantman interplay?
Oh, nice questions.
Interplay. Nothing yet. We will talk about this when we actually start more production on the Merchantman, because I don't want to say something now and then it not to happen. But there is plans, and some people have correctly guessed what it is on Spectrum and Reddit.
Okay. People have a field day with that one. Let's go to the new Vanguards. How do you envision the AR cockpit on the Vanguard Sentinel working and affecting the Sentinel in combat? How will it work compared to the battle bridge on the 890 jump?
So I wanted to use this question to talk a bit about the Vanguard variants in general for 3.7. More so the Sentinel. So it is not at release coming with a few of the things that it was announced with. One of them being the AR cockpit, the others being the decoy missiles, and the E-War pod. And sort of the E-War pod and the AR cockpit are tied together in that we didn't want to spend time building these things from an art side without really fully knowing and having something demonstrable in-game for those mechanics. So at launch, it doesn't have that
Okay, cool.
cockpit.
Sort of
and
expected that.
When the mechanics are there, we will go back and adjust the cockpit. Same for the E-War pod. Decoy missiles aren't something we have in game, so it just has a regular missile loadout. And it does have a EMP device on it, so it was pitched as having I think EMP charges. So it has a EMP generator.
I thought it had EMP missiles.
Pretty much identical to the Warlock at the moment, but again, we'll change and tune that as we go. And it has a very heavy, currently as I speak, all distortion loadout, but we're going to look at that when it hits Evocati and PTU and see whether we need to adjust that. Harbinger is pretty much as it was spec'd. It only has 3 size 5 torpedoes in the torpedo bay inside. We tried to fit more in, but really there wasn't enough space without doing even more work. It's got more armor. It's slightly slower and less maneuverable. to make up for it. Sentinel is slightly lighter and slightly weaker than the base Warden and Hoplite. And the nose guns, because people keep asking me about that, there will be each of the variants now comes with different nose cannons. So the Warden comes with the laser cannons that have always been on it. The Hoplite comes with some ballistic repeaters. The Sentinel comes with some distortion repeaters, and the Harbinger has ballistic cannons on there. And then also in the shops there are distortion cannons and laser repeaters. So there's ballistic, laser, and distortion cannons and repeaters available for all the Vanguard owners to play with.
Cool.
Right.
And I know that until we actually start development on the AR cockpit and stuff,
from shops.
it might be hard to say, but
7 for the Vanguard.
What can you tell us at this
Perfect.
point how you envision, like what are the advantages
Bam.
of the AR cockpit?
It's very hard to say. Looking back at the original
some
design, 'cause
people
this
have
is
guessed
sort of,
the interplay with the
very
Bounty
early
Defender
designs. There was never really a
and
huge
Merchantman.
amount of design put into it, and there were never any concepts for it. So we haven't really decided on how it ties in with it. I know there was speculation that the entire front of the ship would be sort of shielded and you couldn't see out. That's probably not going to be the case. If I was to speculate on something, I would suggest there would be more.
Not a
all the-
juggernaut suit,
the
Cats, but we are
MFDs
getting
there currently
Titan
would be
suits.
all ripped out. The
They're like
cockpit
the
would
big
be
mech
all
suit, well,
holographic projection ones.
power loader Iron Man
And
suits.
then there would be extra full size, like you have on capital ships, MFDs, like there is in the engineering station in the back, available to the pilot.
Right.
But yeah, until we start doing anything.
The
of course,
interplay
I wanna
with
stress that
the
that's literally John
Banner
Crusoe
Merchantman,
here
the
right now,
Defender,
speculating,
I'm
but
expecting
until development actually begins
you'll be able to
on the AR cockpit until the designer
land a Defender
that
or
feature
dock it
and
with the
starts to
outside of
flesh
the
it out.
ship
We're not going to be able to tell
so
you
that it can
concretely,
use
what it
the
will
Merchantman's quantum travel
Yeah,
fuel.
we didn't want to
so
spend
that
the
it can go
time
further.
now
Maybe you'll be
making
able to
our
repair, refuel, or
on
rearm it as
speculation
well.
without
but
the
it's
other
some sort
gameplay
of
teams
light
doing
docking.
their part first.
All right. When can we have physical ship components?
Oh, yes.
We already have some, don't we?
Yeah, we have some. I presume that is aimed towards the internal items. So there was work done this quarter by the US Vehicle Feature Team, allowing us to spawn item ports inside object containers. And use the Retaliator, for example. If you walk around that, you can see items in the ship. They're simply brushes. They're not the actual items.
Right.
So what that team's done this quarter, they've allowed that to be replaced with the actual items. What needs to be done next is actually hook them up to the ship control. At the moment, the ship can't see what they are. So if we swapped them over now, the ship wouldn't work because it'd go, I've got no power plant, I've got no cooler. So that's going to be worked on next. And then when that is done, then we can go through the ships and put the physical items in the right places. And then we can look at subcomponent targeting all those items, penetration to hit those items and damage them.
Yeah, I think that's
repair.
probably what the question is referring to. Like
Disguised items,
When
woo!
will we reach the day that I've got three spare coolers in the cargo hold, and I can go and rip out the damaged cooler, throw it away, grab
Cool.
it from my cargo hold,
That's
and put it back.
one of
in.
the biggest things for me, getting physicalized
Once it's
components in
on
game,
out, what
because
it
it
should be.
Yeah.
means you can target individual systems and
the tricky
all
thing
ships
was
and
you
no more.
could sort of fake it now, but what we'd have to do from the design and art setup side is guess in max where the hard point for the ship item is relative to the interior, and sort of line it up. And then it has weird problems. Those items would be lit because they would think they're part of the exterior. They would light them as though they're on the outside of the ship. So you'd have these either glowing or pitch black items.
I'm not a massive fan of the Harbinger.
ship.
The Sentinel, though, I am.
And because they're on the ship which you're in, but you're inside the object container, which is a different zone.
All sorts of weird
sorts of
problems.
weird stuff happens. So they need to be items inside the object container attached to the ship. And
But
the ship talking
having
to them
visualized
for it to
components
work.
means that you can destroy individual components and disable them,
Let's
and
talk
have
about,
disabled ships. Ships don't always
boxes
explode.
to the floors
Or
of our
they won't
ships.
explode very much, in fact.
What
when they get
are
damaged.
we doing? What can we do to
1 second.
work to prevent that? The question from the live chat is talking about continuous collision detection is a possibility, but what are we doing?
I don't think that's an issue with continuous collision detection. It's more like bugs with the physics grid inside the ship. It's just kind of issues with, like, we have a lot of we have a class of bugs to do with physics grids and zones, and getting entities in the right zones such that they interact with the correct physics objects and stuff. And so if there is, say, a bug with something like that, you can end up with something inside a shipped grid, but the physics system thinks that it's on the outside, and then it doesn't interact with stuff on the inside and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of those bugs that is not one person or one team to fix, because it could be physics good. It could be a networking side to it. If the server's running at low FPS, then it's only updating every so often. It could be the actor side, or it could even just be a basic ship asset problem. We have had problems before where artists have set the wrong collision proxy on the floor, and it's good enough for players, but not good enough for anything else. So you have to, because they're not, whilst it may seem 100% to some players, it is not 100% on a single ship in a single place. So it takes a long time to dig down into it.
Right. Yeah, I can see how
Some ship problems take
an
longer
outside
than
perspective,
others.
from the perspective of
Ha-ha!
you have to deal with it, it seems like it's the same problem. It's just
I
it's just
suspect
one
you'll be able
problem,
to-
stuff falling through ships. But as you were just saying, there are
Got missiles on the
myriad
890, not torps.
potential
It's a class of
causes.
problems,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
It's
class of
defensive,
problems
so
that all
torpedoes doesn't make sense
manifest
for
with
it.
the same type of result, which is
There
stuff
are
falling
actually
through
other
ships.
bugs that are the same, have similar causes. They just manifest in different ways. Like,
Is it size 10 torpedoes on the Polaris or
particle
size
effects appearing in the wrong
9?
place, or lighting being wrong
Might
on
be
an
size
item,
10, I
or
thought it was size 9 for some
all
reason.
stuff like that.
Seeing the space dust from outside inside your ship.
Or is it size
Sounds like
9 on
something
the
we're working
Eclipse? That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
Any timetable, of course, we're not going to say when cargo pods on certain ships will be usable for missions. The Hornet cargo pod being usable for retrieving the black box after executing an NPC
Oh,
missions.
good questions.
Stuff like that. The saddlebags on the Prospector.
Good
Basically
questions.
all these bespoke cargo things that are attached to ships that are not just a big empty room on the inside.
I suspect that will be similar tech to the Caterpillar detaching.
I was
Some of them, anyways.
Some of them, yes, definitely. The limitation on them at the moment is the pickable mission items can't be snapped into cargo grids, and cargo grids themselves have to be inside physics grids of ships for them to be registered. So these ships that have them on the outside of ships don't work currently. But I think a big thing that will help
Size 9
will be
torps
the
on the Eclipse, size 10 on the
inventories.
Polaris
that
is
are being
size
worked on
12.
For
Actually, I vaguely remember it being size
FPS
12. I can't
mining
fucking remember.
and other
Look through my notes
mechanics
and
where
updates.
you will be able to sort of transfer your item to another item. We have that. I think we showed it on
Yes.
2
weeks
Inside
ago
Star
on
Citizen.
ISC.
Yeah. It will be the same basic mechanics as that, but on a one scale up. You're transferring something that has things in it in your hands to another container, which will be the ship.
I get you. That's cool. That'll allow things like
How
the
long until the
store-all
Connie
for
can
the
take an
Aurora,
Ursa without catastrophe?
The cargo pod for the
Just needs
Hornet, the saddlebags for the Prospector.
It could be as early as 3.7.
all
like,
those things that aren't.
they're updating the physics grids all the time.
In an interior
They're basically
physics
talking
grid,
about it now.
to be usable.
Yeah.
I didn't
Things like the
consider
Hull Sea as well also needs it on a big scale.
that. I was going to say the whole thing needs a couple things.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. I imagine the next time we do this show, we'll be able to talk about that. Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Will there, obviously, we talked about the nose mounts for the Vanguard. Is the ability to change the mount
So
coming in 3.7?
Their stream finishes at
Yes.
5 p.m. UTC. No,
Technically,
PST.
you can already change them.
And then I'll
You
go
just
after a
don't
little
have
bit
anything
after
to
that.
change them with.
A little chatty.
So all the 4 variants all come with different nose mounts by default, and they're all available in the shops. So if you're not happy with what comes with your ship by default, then you can go to the kiosks and swap them out for other things.
Okay. Are there geo changes with that?
Yes, they've all got unique geo. They've all got different audio and VFX for them.
What does that do to the livery of the ship?
The guns themselves are generically coloured to not interfere with any of the paint jobs on the variants.
Okay. With the release of the 890 Jump and the existing 600i and Constellation Phoenix, Are there plans to add VIP passenger transport missions or mechanics to make use of these upscale adornments and amenities
nice.
of these ships? And this is more a mission feature team question
Yeah,
than a vehicle feature
definitely.
team question.
But yes,
Oh,
because that's going to be your bread and butter way of paying for these ships, just like the real world. If you own a big yacht, you've got very rich people wanting
we'll have
its
VIP
use for a period of time,
missions.
which most people would think is a silly
That'll
waste of money.
Come under the same class as the
Cool.
I forgot the name of the passenger transport ship.
The
Gatsby.
Starliner.
Genesis
Yeah.
Starliner.
Oh, I thought he was talking about
It'll be the same
name
type
date 90.
missions.
My
Yeah.
favorite.
Alright.
There's
Types
the,
of missions.
it always has a special
Starliner.
place. It was my
Yeah,
it
it's
was
a
my
Starliner,
fir- it
woo.
was the first ship promotion I worked on when I hired in here. It was the first one they just like, Jared, you run this promotion and stuff. So it means a lot to me.
You got you to thank for the Mixmaster then.
No, that was a Tony Z surprise. That was a oh, Tony Z's here. So, auto gimbals are intended to
Yeah,
help
I'm not
new
a massive
players,
fan of the
but many
Harbinger.
starter ships cannot use auto gimbals effectively due to the weapon gimbal sizing mechanic. Are there any changes to auto gimbals or the weapon gimbal sizing mechanic plan?
Two-part question. So first part, yes, we're looking at some changes to auto gimbals. They don't quite behave how people expect them to behave. So we're working on
Okay, auto
cleaning
gimbals.
that up
Cool.
and making them more intuitive to use. That won't be in 3.7. That will be a later patch. Starter ships not being able to use them because obviously they have size 1 guns and there isn't a gimbal for it. In 3.7, we've broken our own rules on gimbal sizing, and there is now a size 1 gimbal mount that can attach a size 1 gun to it, specifically for those sort of ships. So the Aurora, Prospector, Dragonfly, Nox, there's a few more out the box will come with this gimbal mount on.
Wow, that's
with the
big.
guns they had on it. So they'll be able to use gimbal assist straight away if they want, or they can stick to using fixed or gimbal.
So gimbal assist mode
yeah,
effectively for starter ships
that's a
now
sort of
as well.
Solution for that.
And
It's a special mount that ignores that sizing restriction. We're not going to go through all the other gimbal mounts and go, here's a size 6 gimbal mount that allows a size 6 gun on it. We did it specifically for those size 1s.
I'm trying to think of what the list of ships that'll be able to use that are.
There's quite a few with size 1s on them. The Hawk being one.
They
But
could
that
just
doesn't- we
increase
decided not to
all mount sizes
put
by
that
one.
on it by default
It's
because
fine.
the rest of the guns on its default loadout are fixed, and where possible, we don't want to mix fixed and gimbaled weapons in the default loadout.
Right.
There's a few exceptions, but by and large, we try and keep them all either fixed stock or gimbal stock.
Thematically similar.
Yeah.
Okay. This question specifies the Hurricane,
Oh,
but I
that's a
think
good
it
question.
applies
Fly
to
Mail. I'll
quite a
talk
few ships.
about that in a minute.
Why would 2 players choose to fly in a Hurricane instead of taking 2 ships, such as 2 Sabres or 2 Arrows, which would give them more firepower, unpredictability, greater maneuverability, and the ability to surround a target?
Yeah, this is one of those short
This is
term
like a
versus
big
long term.
philosophical question.
Yeah.
Like,
Short term, right now in the game, it may not seem like there is a reason to do that, and whether that's true or not is not for me to say. But long term, you have both players will then have the cost in terms of
Maintenance.
degradation, wear, maintenance, repair for repairing 2 ships, which is going to be twice as much as repairing 1 ship. Turrets are not where we want them to be. We're working on changes for that to make them more competitive. So in the Hurricane example, the turret player should be as effective as a person in a second ship.
you're going to give me 3 more turret feature update segments on ISC I can do.
And also, not everyone is going to have all these extra ships to play with. If I, as a new player, just have a starter ship, like an Aurora, and Dave here's Mr. Cool with his Hurricane, me flying along in an Aurora is probably not going to be
Much of a help.
as much help as a Sabre or something like that. So sure, great if you've got 2 players with those sort of ships, maybe it would be better, but for the majority of time, it's going to be much more effective for me to jump in a ship with someone else and
Help out. Yeah.
No, there shouldn't be a 600i military variant, though you could upgrade the systems on board to make it more into whatever role you had in mind.
Let's see. Will we be? This is a when question, so I shouldn't even include it. It's not when, but forget the when. But what are our
I'll talk about that in a minute.
plans, current
about the Harbinger
ideas about being able to further customize our ships with loadouts, colors, and decals and stuff like that?
Oh, good question.
Something we want to do. We're still looking at the data from the 300 series because there's still a lot of activity going on with that. The short answer is there's a lot of development time on the asset production side that went into the 300, and we want to make sure when we do it again that we put our effort into the places that people actually care about, because there was a lot of areas that we as developers thought that's surefire, people are going to love doing that, and then nobody did it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
the
Planet Side 1 loved, Planet Side 2 also loved, but for a short period of time.
The coffee makers flew.
Yeah.
Played Planet Side 2 recently.
So
more coffee makers.
So we want to make sure, we also want to do it on ships that make sense. At a sort of
Ain't
a
I jump or
concept
Carrick
stage,
at the moment? I
or
love
not just for new
lots of
ships
ships I
concept,
love,
but also for some of the larger ships like the 890 and Carrick.
How dare you?
When we start
massive groin kicks.
we're now
I'm portly
we're doing a
BoredGamer.
second concept pass to bring them up to the same standard as the current ships when they go through concept. We're incorporating customization into those stages. So if that ship is something that is going to have customization at launch or release, we sort of have the time spent identifying avenues there rather than having to sort of retrofit it in.
Okay. Will the way we quantum travel into and out of atmosphere change in any way? Are we happy with where it is now?
In general, there's a lot that we want to improve about quantum travel.
Yeah. How long do you have talking about quantum travel?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we want to do to quantum travel. Of that particular question, I'm not so sure there's a quick, easy answer to that because...
Well, give us the long answer, Dave. Go ahead.
I
get a snap.
There's lots of things we can tune on it. I was reading something on, I think it was Reddit earlier today. Someone was confused as to why they didn't have atmospheric entry effects anymore. It's because the quantum travel distance had been changed to put you into atmosphere.
So you miss the...
So you miss it because you're going through the quantum spline jump speeds, which means you get closer to the thing you want to do, which is good because you're not spending as much time doing stuff, but you miss out on all that effects. Yeah. And then it was a 50-50 split of people going, well, I like that effect, I want to go through that. It's an important feeling when you come to a planet, is to come down through it, and that's being taken away. And the others like, I don't care. I want to save that 4 minutes it takes to get there. So
I want to save the 4 minutes.
There's always going to be lots of back and forth. I think there is a bug the reverse way that you used to be able to quantum out of atmosphere much lower than you can now.
Yep.
When we were playing yesterday, you couldn't quantum out of arc core until 80,000 odd.
I think at one point the height that you quantum jumped in was the same height that you could quantum jump out at, but that's broken at the moment. But yeah, you would be able to jump from a lower height, and
you're able to jump from a lower height.
We also had this issue. One of the hoverboard issues that came up was that you previously used to be able to hover in the sort of upper atmosphere, and then point the ship at a quantum target and jump. But you can't do that because you can't.
Talk more about that again in a minute, Adam. About the Mantis again.
So that'll get resolved.
Okay. I thought it was going to go longer than that. I got comfortable.
Yeah.
All right. Next question: are you currently happy with the current flight model, or are we still changing? We still tweaking? We still adjusting?
We're still changing. We're still tweaking. We want to do the thruster efficiency thing is obviously a pretty large change for atmospheric flight, and it will result in a lot of the atmospheric balancing changing, because obviously if the thruster forces change in atmosphere, that means the drag values have to change as well. So we're going to rebalance the ships for atmospheric flight, and then we are going to rebalance the ships for space flight combat as well. we're just taking a little bit of time to sort of solve some design problems with combat that we not 100% sure we're going to do, how we're going to proceed with that. But once we're sort of more confident about that, we will rebalance the accelerations as well and the drag for atmosphere. We're also going to do stuff like we have the ability now to control the drag.
That's pretty
in
big.
Different directions to a greater degree, so we can, encourage the ship to fly in certain directions if in atmosphere, by tweaking, say, the drag on the right side for like
That's John Crew
a ship
on the
that's
left.
like asymmetric, for
It's
example.
Dave Colson
then you're
on the
gonna have
right.
more drag one direction than the other.
Disco Lando's the other one.
So yeah, there's more tweaking to do.
I wouldn't say there's some huge
Crew,
fundamental
talking now.
No.
big thing, not
He's
like
the
the
vehicle
change that we did with 3.5 to
Design
there's nothing at that
director,
level.
something like
No,
that.
it's
planned.
mostly
Dave
balancing.
Colson's in charge of the flight
and,
model.
Potentially some smaller mechanics
Pipeline
changes to
director or something,
encourage
but-
certain types of combat.
Yeah, we want to
Dave-
get the
Who's
combat
in charge of the flight model.
closer.
And
rather than
Disco's in
being
charge
petrol
of making
shooters and
videos.
people
And
fighting at above SCM speeds.
sub
But we
content.
want to keep the sort of
Lead
maneuverability
vehicle pipeline
that
director,
we have
thank
at the
you.
moment,
Simon Morris.
so you can dodge and maneuver and have positional combat, but at a shorter range.
At slower speeds.
At slower speeds.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a layered. That's not just IFCS or flight changes. That's changes to weapons. That's changes to perhaps shields and
Trying
hit
to sort
points
my Harbinger to a Mantis
on
based on initial
the
design. Good shout.
hulls, and eventually that'll be physicalized damage. It's changes to, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. It's changes to sort of how your ships behave at higher speeds to sort of disincentivize you from trying to fight at those speeds, but using systemic methods to do that.
We have, like, part of the issue that we have at the moment is that it's balanced such that you end up at quite high speeds, such that you can't really change your velocity vector very quickly, and you end up in these like circling around each other. And if the ships are forced to fly at slower speeds, that becomes less of an issue, because you end up closer and you end up able to change your velocity vector quicker, and so you get more movement in those fights and less sort of drifting around each other.
I feel like we go through this. I feel like if you followed the project since the flight was first introduced with Arena Commander, you'll see a lot of. I think you can divide it into a couple different areas where speeds got really fast and we were jousting when speeds were slowed down, and it became circle strafes, and we sped it up and we slowed it down. We seem to.
It's been leaked that the Mantis is an RSI heavy fighter.
Continuously.
Not 100% confirmed, obviously, but
changing sense
was a
where
relatively,
we're trying to find this right mix between wanting
well-weighted
to give ships the speed and capabilities that they should have, while still wanting that close quarters combat that I think we're all interested in. You want to be able to see the ships. You want them close enough that you can see the character and the personality of a ship in combat.
Food truck.
But it's an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
I don't think we're definitely not there yet.
It's an extremely hard problem.
Yeah.
Because
Good
it
Banner Wolf, mate.
ultimately
Thanks for
amounts to
asking.
having realistic physics, but not like hard sci-fi realistic space combat. And so we're in that balancing act of finding that right middle point between realism and the combat that we want.
Yeah. Well, Chris has always said, we'll take it to the point of realism, and then we'll bring it back to the point of fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And like you say, over the years we've tried different things. Some have worked, some have not worked, and I think we're getting much closer to where we want it to be. But there's still that last hurdle to overcome, because in those previous examples, when we've done things like that, the community always goes down the middle into I love this, I hate this. Previous patch was better. No, this is great. And then we'll try some. The benefits of this development style is we can try these big changes, and then the previous patch was better moves one patch along as new people come in. It's an interesting challenge, and I think what we're going to be doing will help that.
Yeah. You said it right there. It's one of the benefits of the way of running the live game development, game servers in the middle of our development, is that we can put these things out, we can make these changes, we can see the feedback, we can go. When you talk to Star Citizens, you'll find that they all have their favorite patch where they think flight was right. There are people
2.6.3.
2 points, dogfighting was best in 2.6 or dogfighting was best in 1.8 or whatever. It's a continuously evolving thing. And it'll be nice when we get there.
Yeah, we will. Sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Let's see. Will there be retractable turrets for the Vanguards in 3.7?
No, there won't. That'll be, again, we'll probably tackle that when we go back to do the Sentinel stuff. There was someone asking about the Harbinger rocket pods.
Mm-hmm.
So by default, it will have some of the rocket pods that people have seen, the sort of swappable rocket pods that the Delta has.
Probably around 8 p.m. today,
also
John
a size
Stevens.
3 one that has
Typically when it happens.
9 or 18 rockets on each side.
8 p.m. BST.
It doesn't have the reloadable rocket pods, but when we do the retractable turret bit, when it goes in, it will reload them there. Because if you look at the Harbinger concept, it's a very
Listen to
interesting
Ash over me. I might have had my time
mechanism it
confused.
has there to reload those rocket pods. It's both a retractable turret and a physically connected via a rocket reloading tube.
Yes.
And a turret that can spin 360 degrees. So following that concept would create something that does not work in reality. So we just put the generic or modular rocket pods on it. They are fixed, so you'd need to reload.
Lots of Muddy Cruise ship gameplay planned for...
Spicy in terms of
4.0 now?
damage. But yeah, you'll need to go
3.9.
restock somewhere.
The way that we concepted, I think anybody has noticed that, as
Q2 2020
development has gone on, so has the way that we concept ships, and the entire process in which we concepted ships changed pretty dramatically shortly after the Vanguard series.
I forgot to mention as well with that the Sentinel turret also in the
I believe thruster control staying, yes.
The original launch of it, all the concept images had satellite antennas, turrets. Looks like someone had welded their TV aerial to it. Mm-hmm. That is not happening with the Sentinel. It's got guns on it, which was also promised in the brochure and the launch pages for it. So when we came to do it, we thought, well,
that's
on one hand, we've said it comes with these satellite dishes. On the other hand, we've said it comes with these guns. We'll pick the guns because that's the more useful side of the ship.
Yeah. Talk to me about the Retaliator.
Oh,
great ship.
Is that it?
Yeah. Are we happy with it? Are we? I know there's a lot of folks. It was one of the
nice
first
questions today.
With an interior for Star Citizen. We've learned a lot since then. There's a very long question here with a bunch of suggestions about what they want us to do, but that's not really how this works. What are our thoughts on the Retaliator and where we want it to go? Are we happy with it?
As it fills its role, I personally would like to see it have a bit more of a torpedo loadout. When it was made, 6 torpedoes was, wow, that's a lot of torpedoes. These days, it's not a lot of torpedoes, but the mechanisms for launching those torpedoes are fairly fixed. In a nice world where I had time and the artistic skills and power to pull people off doing more important things to change it, I would probably swap them to be rotary launchers like the Eclipse has and like modern day like B-52s have for launching cruise missiles, just so it can pack more torpedoes in there. I don't think it needs someone suggesting whacking a size 6 gun that the pilot controlled. That's not going to happen. Again, the turret question we talked about earlier. In the future, you'll be able to slave those turrets or automate them, which will make it be a very different experience to how it is now. I guess the other question that people always ask is the interior layout.
The interior layout, the shields aren't particularly robust.
I think the shields are okay for what it is. It's pretty armoured and tanky. It's aegis. The interior layout, I think it's a love or hate thing. I don't particularly mind it.
Just needs a bit of balance, the ship, I think.
Why people don't like the interior in terms of the efficiency of space, but it's not like the Vanguard where there were some big problems that we had to solve with it. It doesn't justify a full rework at this point.
Eventually there'll need to be some work done when the modular system comes online, so that you can use the Retaliator modules, the living modules.
There'll be safe-ish zones,
Those are
Cat,
still
like the UE
planned
core
in
worlds.
the future and
It'll
stuff
be
like that.
incredibly hard to...
We've built the art for those.
Players to kill another player
The
sort
ship
of thing.
itself is ready to go for taking them. And what I mentioned earlier with US vehicles doing item ports inside object containers also gets us one step closer to doing those, because we can now load...
They might make your ships fully insured in like core worlds as well. Maybe they'll do something like
already, those two bays as object containers, and we'll be able to have the items inside them be set up. Where it falls down still is we have to move those missile or torpedo launchers off the actual ship exterior into those object containers. So I could now go back to my desk and split that all out, put them back in, and it will look identical to how it is. You just would lose control of those torpedoes because it can't communicate between the two. And you could have modular swapping out of rooms, but the Retaliator would be really useless without its torpedoes. So that's why they're not there yet. But it is a step closer than the last time we talked about it.
Dave.
Yeah, Monolithic, we'll talk about that in a second. They did talk about
Are you
that.
happy with it? Are there any plans for
I tell you now.
for changing
Looks like
anything?
3.8. They said they both have to have
there
the docking and undocking
There are some
done
plans, not as drastic though.
The snub.
It's in a not as bad as it's been. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the 600
There are
library
some
work is still coming out
bugs,
after the
at the
890 jump,
moment,
just a light
particularly
rework.
around like disabled ships and damaged ships seem to make it go a little haywire. It gets confused about the direction that it should be helping you in. So we want to fix that stuff up, and then once the tuning for ships that I mentioned earlier, once that's in, then it becomes easier to balance them a bit. We're also doing some work at the moment on the actual weapon aiming systems to try and make the pips and the weapon aiming be a little bit more consistent and predictable, and that will obviously have a knock-on positive effect on ESP. What else? There was one other thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, pretty much yes. We will. Oh,
They are lying. Chuck
we
it, George.
did a lot of
Thanks
work
for your
around,
opinion.
3.5 to get the
Why
networking
you
a
even
lot
watch
better.
them then?
And we did a great job.
This isn't a
as
Brexit
far as I
debate.
believe. We did a great job and made the pips
Fuck
behave a
me.
lot nicer, just simply out of better networking of AIs and other players, such that the target that you're pointing at with the SP is moving more predictably and less erratically. Like, if you get the theme, there's less work on ESP specifically and more work on everything else that kind of surrounds it. Because
Okay, that makes sense. Well,
it's
maybe
like,
it does. ESP should be very subtle.
It's easily
It's not at the
affected
moment.
by other systems.
It's only as good as the data that goes
Yeah.
into it, and if that data's not good, then it's never going to be good itself.
The Terrapin
Yeah.
was so
I
expensive
think
what
in
it
terms
was,
of the
though,
actual
Swamp.
algorithm that ESP is running, it's way better than it used to be. It has a lot more emphasis on the dampening effect and less on the sort of auto aiming, which seems to be better than it was before. And we have a lot more control in how we control that and tweak that now. So if we get to the situation where we've done some tuning and we want to improve that, the algorithm, we actually don't even need to change the algorithm that much, and we can tweak the values to get it a lot better without having to redesign it completely.
All right. As the Vandal ships are needed for Squadron 42, are we likely to see any bug fixes, updates to the Scythe, the Glaive, the Blade in the near future?
I'm positive we'll see updates to those ships. I can't say when.
Okay. There's an Easter egg in some of the Nautilus imagery with the blade that I haven't seen anybody notice.
Even after I heavily suggested it at the talk in Frankfurt, I saw speculation on Spectrum and Reddit as to what it was, and I don't think anyone actually noticed it. I had someone ask me on Twitter. I was just trolling people about it.
I thought it was going to be.
There are changes.
I thought it was going to be totally obvious. There's
I can't not see it whenever I look at the
I know.
page.
It's like it was right there in front of us, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, people are going to pick
Right.
that out. People are going to realize that's different.
We
And,
are having a look at that now.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a single mention of it.
I saw someone on Reddit get very close to it and then was persuaded by other people that it was not that.
Right. They're like, oh no, that's not different. And it's like, no, it's different.
Yeah, and there will be similar changes to the Scythe and
Where are all the
Glaive.
pictures?
Obviously, they are from a older period. The Vandal aesthetic has changed at least twice since they were made, so they will be brought in line with the other Vandal ships.
That, and of course, the Vandal aesthetic is scavenging and taking from many different sources anyway. So even within the Vandal ships, there can be a fair amount of variety.
Yep.
So let's see. You've talked about this a couple times. Is there going to be an improvement or any changes to the 600i after the release of the 890 jump?
Yeah, we learned a lot of things learned a lot of things after the 600i released and its reception, and during the development of the 890. So we're gonna, at some point in the future, it's not a priority to go back and do it right now. Look at some of especially the material and shape, language, and lighting that we did in the 890, and put that back into the 600i. It's not going to be like massive exterior rework changes. I think the exterior is
got to be in this picture.
It's purely going to be sort of limited interior updates.
Somebody in the chat just compared Reddit to the Cheesecake Factory, and I'm like, I like the Cheesecake Factory, but
I do too.
Everyone's got their favorite.
I'm basic. That's not a surprise to anybody. I like the Cheesecake Factory. Is it part of the schedule to fix flying behavior of ships like the Razor series, the P-52 and the P-72, which cannot fly but straight at speeds above 100 milliseconds?
Yeah, so this is
meters per second.
This is a bug with the atmospheric system. It's caused by
There's
the
something
center of pressure.
About the blade.
So basically, we
on
apply
this
the directional
picture.
point on the ship that is not necessarily
Probably
the
this
point,
picture.
the center of mass of the ship.
Hasn't been noticed properly by people.
It's used to
Got
create
like a fin on
interesting
it? No.
like motion effects in how the ships move in atmosphere. But there's a bug with how that is set in those ships. That is meaning that when they get off axis and not aligned with the airflow, they get pushed hard enough that they oscillate to the opposite side, and then that drag force will essentially oscillate backwards and forwards and hold the ship pointing in a certain direction. So yeah, it's a bug. We can actually look into fixing that fairly soon. It's one of the things on our radar at the moment.
Yeah, it affects the Razors, the Razor variants, and the Merlin and Archimedes that I know of. I don't.
Yeah, the very light, small ships tend to be more susceptible to that because they're easier for the wind flow, the airflow to push around when you're flying in atmosphere.
And that is also highly dependent on the planet you're in.
That's true.
Or moon, because on some moons they have very little atmosphere and some have more. So it's one of those things you hear about it and you go, that's not true. I just jump in yellow, go test it. No, went fast, no problem.
Yep. And then you try Hurston, it's like, no, doesn't work.
All part of having systemic atmospheric effects.
Yep.
John, David, congratulations. You've done your time. You've done your penance. Thank you so much for joining us here on another Star Citizen Live this week. As usual, your answers are always candid and illuminating. And if I can speak for the community, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and answer our questions for this week.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
No problem.
There's a green flash over here.
Should we skill charity's done?
Broken wing.
This is my first day at work all week. I've been out sick with the flu all week. I came back for this, and that was
Do its blades break off when they ram a ship or
John,
something?
Dave, thanks so much for being here. Everybody, we'll see you next week for another episode of Star Citizen Live.
Don't know what it could
who
be.
Who knows what it'll be about? I've got a week worth of catching up to do. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Right. I don't know what it could be with that, but check it out yourself if you're curious. A curious boy or girl. Yeah. Oh wow, I've got like a bam. let's continue the stream for a little bit and talk. That was probably one of the better Star Citizen lives that we've had in ages. They talked about a load of stuff there, and gave us tangible updates, which is great. 3.8 with ship-to-ship docking looks like we will actually have the P-52 snub actually working this time, which is fucking fantastic. Turn that down a bit. Madness. What else do we have? Point defense systems will be coming for the anti-jump, AI blades, all that sort of stuff, so you can have turrets on different ships being controlled by AI, like point defense type modes, manned, remote controlled, or slaved, which is pretty cool. They might rebalance some of the 890 jump turrets to quad-mounted guns potentially in the future based on general balance. Futile thrusters will rotate separately with a button. Proximity assist is replacing hover mode. Any other big things? Disguised components are being worked on. Lots of stuff being worked on towards that. 890 Jump will have VIP missions associated with it in a similar style to the Starliners people transport missions. Auto gimbal changes are coming, as are changes for ESP and flight combat and balance and all that sort of stuff. A lot of that isn't coming for 3.7. There are some size 1 gimbal mounts for size 1 weapons, primarily for starter ships. They break the rules of these sort of gimbals need to be one size smaller, but it's specifically for size 1 weapons, so that starter ships can use the auto gimbal system. I've got some questions that people asked me, which I'll answer in a second. Quantum travel improvements are coming. Blah, 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 blah. They might do some changes to the Retaliator in the future. Bored, why are you not a fan of the Harbinger specifics? Just on paper, it doesn't feel like it's worth the money. It's just got some torpedoes and stuff. I think that the standard Warden, which is more durable, is almost just as effective, or you can have its loadout to be very similar. I'm not a massive fan of torpedoes, I suppose, is why. Especially only a limited number of torpedoes. The Sentinel is probably my bay from that, because it's more E-War orientated. I like it. It's probably the main thing. Robert Johnston! Oh my god, you little sexy man! Good morning, my favourite pie bowler. Have you figured that out yet? What pie bowler? No, but fuck off, is what you normally say to me, Robert Johnston. I love you. You're the best. He pays me money to tell me. Pie bowler. Pie on the head. Pie face? Pie... I don't know. I love you, though. Thank you so much for the ridiculous amount of money. Robert Johnston is declared my favourite person. Are there plans in the roadmap or anything else to have NPC controlled? Which I'm not overly drowning at. No, I'm good. We're good. Are there plans to in the roadmap? Are there plans in the roadmap or anything to have NPC controlled regular passenger public transport from different planets, such as Crusader to ArcCorp? So I believe they want to still put in Genesis Starliners, allowing you to be transported from one planet to another systems and that sort of stuff in the future. Obviously, there'll be players doing that, but there should be NPC ships that take you from one area to another if you can pay the bills. Maybe there's public transport that does it for free as well. I love your face. You're the best. What else have we got here? Anything else exciting? You will have to insure lifetime insurance ships. Yeah. Basically, we're assuming that lifetime insurance is just going to be very minor and just going to be for the hull of the ship. If you want to get better insurance for all your weapons and changes in the future, then you'll have to insure appropriately. That's the expectation. Will larger ships be able to transport giant sandworms? Not as far as we're aware, Jag, yet. Hope maybe one day. I suspect that there will be sandworms on Layer 3 and in the game, and they will be killable almost certainly, and you'll be able to, harvest them, or maybe you murder one for a mission. You have to put bombs on the ground in the sand and then have a thumper, like in Tune. Or like in Graboids. You know, that film. Tremors. After that, Inside Star Citizen, my tally is up for the chop. You mean Star Citizen Live? Didn't sound like they were too interested in a rework. Yeah, I don't think it's going to get a rework. I've kept on saying that I didn't think it's going to get a rework beyond a light, a very light rework. And then maybe it will get a bit of a weapon rebalance to some extent. I think it's probably worth keeping until you find something you like more. Just when they start to balance these ships later in development properly, you might see it come into its own. They didn't talk about the freelance other than the rotating of thrusters pointing down, I don't think. Is the 890 jumping game now? Yes, it is. I have one. I've done some gameplay videos of it. Bipolar. Wow. Fuck me. Oh, thanks, Robert Johnston. Thanks for explaining that to me. I don't think I would have got it, or anyone else in the fucking world. Oh, thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. Oh, this is fucking ridiculous. So, RSI Mantis. The RSI Mantis is what we believe to be a heavy fighter that was going to be straight to flyable at CitizenCon. It now looks like, according to the concierge letter, that it might just be the next concept sale that they have after the Nautilus. That's what I'm expecting. RSI Mantis, and we think it's a heavy fighter. That's what Star Citizen Leaks suggested, and I think they're probably right with that. The footage of the Great being cut open is from the Squadron 42 vertical slice from 2017, end of, and represents some of the older gameplay for the game. It should look a lot better when it's actually done now. A lot more bugs fixed. Oh, CNC Collector CNC and Design. Thank you very much. Waiting on persistence for UEC, just like persistent BG. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think once we have persistence in the game, and we start using UEC rather than Alpha UEC, I think that's a lot more reasons for a lot more people to play and continue to play. They do need to get the game into a state where it's not going to break the game, them doing that permanently. Yeah, the retaliator needs to work. I mean, a lot of the ships need to be able to work. I mean, there's problems and bugs with them, yes. But once they are working, and once they do have all the modules and the weapons choices, and then they then need to be balanced more fully for their roles. Will we get custom permissions on ships? Yes, 100%. So they've talked about that, and they've got a security system which is partly working towards that at the moment. They actually removed from the roadmap recently, but they're going to be added soon. And you'll see custom permissions eventually allowing certain people to open certain doors, access certain terminals or whatever based on their name or their rank or whatever. We've talked about key cards and number pads and stuff like that as well. Are you bored? Just saying, love your work on your channel. Just wanted to ask, will they open up the landing pads at the roof of Lawful Hurston building? Maybe in the future. I don't know. They will keep on expanding out some of those cities and hero zones, and there'll be more and more missions and areas to explore there. They should be opening the internals to some of the buildings on ArcCorp, for example. Resistance and larger servers, yeah. We need that. And more star systems, and then, well, as well as a huge range of dynamic missions and dynamic mission system, things to do like that, and interesting things to explore and fight. Bam. Then we've got the makings of a good game now. We can start to play more readily, and then we can keep on adding more and more mechanics to that. Was there anything other major things I wanted to talk about? Really excited for Caves and Alpha 3.7. We've obviously got the FPS gameplay as well there for mining. It's going to give us huge amounts more reasons to explore, look around places, because these minables that you're going to be able to use the multi-tool, the hand multi-tool with a little mining attachment on in 3.7. They're not just going to be in caves. Apparently, they're going to be in asteroid fields and on planets as well, I believe. Anyway, there was these helmets that are now available to RSI subs. This set of helmets, you have to buy, though, if you want them, which is interesting. They chose the one that are the same colour as Test. the largest org in the game. Just saying. But the rest were given out to the subscribers. An interesting one. I do like the fact they've got the Centurion Helmets in game though, so I'm not going to overly criticise their way of monetizing the game for aesthetics. I'm fine with them monetizing for aesthetics. Do we have anything else major to talk about? We know that prison gameplay is coming in the future. We know that lots of the bounty hunting stuff's been moved to 3.9. They've got in-game orgs and factions and reputation systems that they're building at the moment. Lots more lore system stuff. That was one of the best Star Citizen lives I've seen in a long time as well. 890 jumps. Is it still on sale or have they all sold out? Let's have a look. See your options. I'm assuming it's fully sold out. Yeah, so the 890 jump is now fully sold out. You can buy the 85X, a little shuttle if you want. But these are the sort of ships you want to get in game if you do want them. You'll be able to steal them off other people and potentially rent them, although I'm not sure if you'll be able to rent an 890 jump. Maybe in the short term you'll be able to. Do people have any other questions about anything we saw on Star Citizen Live or about anything they want to talk about? Oh, there was a update with the CIG versus Crytek case, or Crytek versus CIG case. They've increased the length of time until the trial sort of like starts properly until the 16th of June from the 24th of March. So 3 months of extra time because there's apparently a huge amount of code analysis they need to do and expert and non-expert witnesses and things. So to do discovery properly. It looks very, very weak for Crytek at the moment. Still, that has throughout really. But assuming that CIG aren't using any CryEngine exclusive code that's not part of the Amazon Lumberyard, then I mean, it's almost certain that CIG will be found as the prevailing party, and and Crytek would have to be liable for all of their costs, which is pretty harsh. But you know, probably Crytek maybe shouldn't have started this motion, this lawsuit, if it wasn't correct. But maybe there's something in it. I just don't think there is. Right, what else have we got? Oh, I love all the... Thank you very much for the lovely messages. Does it look like the cockpit has changed on the Blade of the Nautilus image? This is interesting. We'll have a look at that image again in a second before we sign off. Because they said during the thing that there's something about the blade in one of the images on the Nautilus promotion that people haven't properly noticed, or what happened to places like caves that are procedurally generated after we finished a mission involving them? So procedural generation does not mean generated on demand. Okay, so the procedural so locations typically and mostly will be there for everyone. They procedurally generate them at the time of implementing them into the game. So they'll go, we want a cave here. They put a cave entrance there, and then proceed to generate like 30 different caves for that area, and go, we want number 23. That looks the best. Bam, and then it's in the game, and then they can procedurally and on demand then generate missions for that area, so that could spawn NPCs and loot there, or minables and harvestables there. But it wouldn't change the dynamics of the cave. Potentially, they could block off entrances of a cave, or they could add sections to the cave, maybe. I suppose it would be more blocking areas off and opening areas up. And that sort of stuff. Have doors that can open that were closed before, but they're not procedurally generating those caves on demand every time you go there, and they're different every time. It's nothing like that. The mission might be different, the NPCs might be different, that sort of stuff. They might be empty when you get there, they might be full. Yeah. You'll start to see them in 3.7 as well. What are your thoughts on amenities? Will better amenities mean less stress for NPCs and PCs, and in turn increase something like health regen? So, as far as I understand it, Uncle Gary, NPCs will become less effective the more tired or stressed or whatever they are. So, effectively they will see stats fall if they haven't got enough in form of facilities and amenities. Maybe they get stats boosts if they got loads. Players, there's the player status system, which technically NPCs also use, which tracks thirst, hunger, tiredness, hygiene, all that sort of stuff, inebriation. So if you've got a bar, maybe your NPCs can lose stats from inebriation if they're suddenly called into battle or whatever. And one of the things is that you can have your sort of NPCs when eventually we have this, and this is what they've said anyway. You'll be able to have your NPCs like on standby, or be able to be at battle ready stations. And obviously, if they're battle ready all the time, literally in the turrets manning the guns, and they don't sleep for 12 hours, they're going to be shattered by the time they actually fight, and their stats would have dropped. With building outposts, can we build an outpost in space, aka org stations? So not at the moment. I'm hoping that we see. Well, obviously we can't even build outposts at the moment, but the idea is that outposts are bolted to the ground, potentially large asteroids as well. We might be able to build space stations in the future. That's not a mechanic they currently got planned, but they have talked about player-owned stations before. So maybe there will be something that builds them. Is the Warden the best, fastest, toughest hull to own as the base unit? That was its original thing. However, I would expect the Vanguards to be relatively similar. They did say effectively, I think it's the Harbinger now. It's probably the toughest hull. It was originally going to be the Warden. Maybe it still is the Warden, so I don't 100% know anymore. Originally, it was going to be the Warden, and then it was like going to have an escape pod and be super tough, whatever. I think it's more just the Vanguards in general are relatively tough, and the Harbinger might just have a better armor. But I'm not 100% sure anymore. If you could name the game after yourself, would you call it Star Potato or Spud Citizen? Spud Citizen. Teddy Kiddling, love your face and your channel. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. Thank you for all the follows and all the subscriptions and all of the donations. Very much appreciated, guys. That's fucking amazing. Oh, Robert Johnston, you are just a gem of a person as well. I mean, you all are, don't get me wrong. But he does give a lot of money, eh? Yeah. Any plans of refurbishing the first ships into game that have update builds, like the Tally or the Gladiator? So they basically said that the Retaliator might get some light updates and rebalance. Expect that for all ships, though. Expect all ships to have look at their weapons, look at their stats, look at all their components and all that sort of stuff as they get more and more systems into the game. They need to balance them at some point, but closer to release. If not at release, sort of thing. When exploring caves, keep your helmet and visor on and down, even if there's a friendly worm waving from a puddle. What? You worried it's going to be like Alien? Facehuggery. What ship is this? That's them inside. That's a player inside an Idris. The UE. Is it the UES? Stanton? Named after the system that we currently have in the game. It just will probably be 80 to 100 million UEC. Maybe. I don't know how they're going to... I suspect that cavalry ships will be incredibly expensive, especially military cavalry ships. And then, even more expensive than them, to fully outfit it properly. That will be hugely expensive. Did they say that EMP missiles on the Defender will work? They said in today's show that there will be EMP missiles, I believe, or there will be EMPs on the Sentinel. I thought it was supposed to be EMP missiles, but they said EMPs, and maybe it was EMP missiles. But Bored, when we get our own habs, we'll be able to have custom features like trapdoor leading to a pit with giant sandworms. I don't believe so, Jag. I think you love the sandworms, though, don't you? Maybe we'll have to make a house in a sandworm. EXE here board. X here board. EX. The Info Runners. I love your face. Harbinger is the one you want, as it's the only one that gains everything over the others, which is the armor. I like the Sentinel. I like the Sentinel. I want Eve Warfare. I want the Warfare pod. I'm worried about crotch spiders. So am I. I'm also worried about Vandal dog crotches. Crotch Vandal dogs. We're going to say something about public transport. So public transport's going to be in the game at some point, I believe, and they'll have Genesis Starliners moving people between planets and systems. And obviously players will be able to do it, but there should be NPCs that do that as well. Are we starting crowdfunding for Spud Citizen? Yeah, fuck it. Why not? Oh, Job. Or J-O-B. Is it Job or J-O-B? Donation for Spud Citizen. Fuck yes. We'll donate for Spud Citizen if people want to chuck me money. Why not? It's replace every character in the game. Oh my god, that's a mission. I'll get myself scanned at some point. We'll replace every character in-game with my face, including Gillian Anderson, and Trejo, all of them. And then it could be Spud Citizen. Perfect. Thank you very much, Job, for the donation. Lots of money. Lots of money. Why do people send me lots of money? All I do is sit down and talk about Star Citizen. Oh, I fucking love you guys. Thank you so much. You can take the Sentinel pod and put it in the Harbinger, so better Sentinel? I mean... But maybe you can just take the armor from the Harbinger and put it on the Sentinel. Armor's going to be its own thing, I believe. Start your own space game with Blackjack and Hookers. Bam! I like Doka Alpha. You've got J-O-B, my friend. Okay, J-O-B. Thank you fucking very much. You can call it anything you want, mate. Get my money at me. Right, does anyone want to talk about anything specifically? Does anyone have any questions? I am planning to do... well, I think I'm joining Rexilla on stream on Sunday. Which would be probably like 10 PM or something, my time. UK time, BST, starting that. Around then, maybe 10 or 11. Hopefully this weekend, so hopefully this Sunday. That'd be cool. I'll make sure I record that, but you can both join us live. We'll probably... I'm not sure if I'll stream as well. I'll probably just record and let him stream. Because, you know, he's popular on the stream. Unfortunately, the armor is exclusive to the Harbinger, but maybe you'll be able to paint it to look like a Sentinel. Okay, I'll check that out. I thought they were going to make all that stuff more modular and have the hulls more standardized. If they are saying that the armor is exclusive to the Harbinger, then okay. Then the Harbinger would be the best model for that outfit with the Sentinel stuff, unless that armor increases its EM or signature or something. Do you know what I mean? Where do babies come from? So, you can just walk around the street. Typically, a few people have them looking around somewhere. I think it could be sort of like through the some sort of government scheme or postal service or something. Someone told me about scissoring. Sort of, I think it might be all of these things. It depends on the sort of like level of baby you want. Will they add the ability to paint and name our ships? I believe that's the plan. Yes. They've already talked about naming ships. Some of the perks of buying concept ships have been you get to sort of like reserve a name for the ship. And painting ships, you can paint ships like 300 series, specifically the 300 series, on the website now. There are skins that you can put on other ships and stuff, but there will be an in-game painting service for ships, aftermarket manufacturer painting service that you'll be able to customize your ship to a huge degree of, well, to some degree, I suppose. I say huge without really knowing exactly to what degree we'll be able to customize our ships. But it should be to a large degree. Starfarer versus Starfarer Gemini. Same thing with the armor on the Sentinel and Harbinger. Yeah, so that was true before they then said that they were standardizing all of the external hulls for the Harbingers, which they said, again, relatively recently. So I was thinking that any armor changes on the Harbinger would be armor that you could place on another ship. But I might be wrong with that, and you may very well be correct. When does you last fart? Or when did I last fart? I had a poo just before I started the stream. So then, probably. Interesting questions. I appreciate these. These are easy to answer. Wait and see, I guess, Board. Maybe. It's so that's just a bit of conflicting info. Like, I know that it used to... They were going to have different variant... They were literally going to be different variant hulls. But then I believe they just changed the central modular room for the most part, and then the loadouts on them. And I thought, maybe mistakenly, that the Harbinger's armor was just effectively something you could change. It was just a part of its loadout rather than its physical hull. But don't know. So you could very well be correct yourself. Hard-hitting investigative journalism. I don't know why I'd do that. I will be doing studio tours, and obviously I'm going to CitizenCon. Hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of questions answered then. Obviously I know a lot of people want me to ask harder questions about Star Citizen, but I'm going to ask more questions about things that I think are important when I go there. I mean, I'll collect questions from you guys, from the community, and we'll do some upvotes on some. I'll create some myself, curate. But I'll be asking about their monetization model from now into the future. I'll be asking about game design, mechanics, Squadron 42, lots of stuff that I think is important, rather than stuff they can answer in sort of like more sweeping generalizations of, it's iterative and we're going to do it better and we're getting better and better every time. I want to talk about very specific things. Basecamp, what? Will I be able to kill someone in game with a teacup? Probably, actually. You'll probably be able to throw things at people. I would expect them to do light amounts of damage, like even if it's like 1 health. If someone's really injured, maybe throwing something at them would take them out. I'm gonna dash off quite soon. It's 5:30 at the moment. I think one of my videos should have just gone live. I'm talking more about caves from the Inside Star Citizen, talking about the Crytek versus CIG Star Citizen lawsuit. An update on that, talking about the new helmets and subflare and all the sub perks. What else? And talking about the RSI Mantis as well. That should have just gone live on my channel. Will we see the ability to build habs and outpost constructs in caves? I suspect if the cave is big enough, and they said that they want sinkholes large enough for ships to be able to land in, then potentially yes. I'm hoping so, Verpine. I think killing anyone in certain areas, it's different laws for different areas, isn't it? So some areas might have, if you throw a teacup at someone, that gives you a crime stat. They'd probably be injuring someone in any way. Will Star Citizen have the scissoring mechanics? The Louvre's making? No, I don't believe so. You'll have to roleplay it. Hi, Board, you are my main source for Star Citizen news. Can you feel the power you hold? Yes. And every time it's like a April Fool's or something, I always think, just make something the fuck up. I could just say anything the fuck I wanted and people would go, oh shit. Like Star Citizen Leaks has got a good amount of clout now. They could make something entirely up if they wanted to, and people would fucking believe it. Not big on the Cutlass Black or Freelancer. I like the Cutlass Black significantly more than the Freelancer. I'm a big fan of the Cutlass Black. Do you think this year CIG will come out with a cool med-sized ship, medium-sized ship, in that realm before beta? I think we could see another ship in the range of the Cutlass Black or Freelancer in the future, yeah. Are you doing any Bar Citizens before CitizenCon? I'm doing one the day before, Riddick. So I'm hoping to see. So if CIG have an official Bar Citizen throughout the day before, I'll be at that one. If not, I'll arrange my own or join in someone else's or whatever. Whatever's available. So I'll be in Manchester the day before. And during the day, obviously. When are we getting life support for our ships? Well, we already have it, but it's faked. So they need physicalized components first, and then they need to tie life support into the room system. I don't know when that's coming. I'm not even sure if they'd need that for Squadron 42. They probably wouldn't. They could entirely fake it. So, I don't know. How do you roleplay scissoring? It's not... I don't think I'm linked up for mature audiences to be able to explain that. Mila can... My voice broke because I said your name as well. I think we're obviously a Firefly class ship in-game, or licensing an issue. I want Crazy Ivans. You are likely to see lots of different ships inspired by lots and lots and lots of different sci-fi in the game. What do you feel about another Constellation rework? No. I'm okay with light reworks on ships. I'm okay with passes and balance passes and stuff on ships. I don't think much... I don't think many ships need any like full reworks. That'd be madness. Does Citizen Leaks is a competition against Spud Citizen? Indeed. I am going to get a leak emote. And it is literally a vegetable. Pasty? What? Pasty? What? Leaking potato pasty. Oh, I see. Do the Bala Citizen, the Radisson Blue in Manchester board. What, the one by the airport? Or the one where we used to do CitizenCon? I can suggest it to CIG as well if you want to do that. Although I suspect Cameron or whoever's running the events there at the moment already has somewhere in mind. If they are doing a Bala Citizen, I can suggest something like that. If there's none that come up, then I'm happy to do that. I'm pretty chill. Come on Discord and we'll give you a scissoring demonstration. Wow. Do you believe that that Cloud Imperium should make the game M-rated because the majority of backers are adults because kids won't get it anyway, like GTA 5? So CIG will want to keep the game's rating as low as possible so that it can be more easily distributed and advertised. Simple as that. Advertising is heavily affected by its rating, so they can only have adverts at certain times of the day and stuff. Will we get stun guns or stun gun settings on energy weapons? Yes, there will be less than lethal ammo for some weapons and less than lethal weapons, I believe. You think the chances of sub $100 multi-crew ships is gone given the price creep? I mean, there's the Cutlass Black still. You could occasionally get a sub $100 ship that's multi-crew maybe in the future. Just buy it in-game though. Just get it in-game. Just get a starter pack and then get anything else that you want in-game. Banning Merchantman was interesting what they said, because they said in the Star Citizen Live that other people had previously guessed what the interplay between the Banning Merchantman and the Defender was going to be. Although they've got planned, which they have yet to confirm yet. I'm expecting that it's going to have some sort of light docking capabilities with the Banning Merchantman, even if that's just it being able to use the Banning Merchantman's quantum fuel when it travels, but it will be able to refuel, rearm, and repair to some extent, or some of that. That's my expectation anyway. Yeah, so if people donate enough money to Spud Citizen, I will force a Redeemer rework. Cannot confirm. That's actually a real thing. No. If you want to chuck money at me, feel free to. It's very much appreciated. It helps with the channel massively, obviously, and relieves a lot of pressure off me to, I suppose, do so much work. But I'm always going to try and release a video a day at least. That's my sort of like. I've got a dead pixel there. No, it's not. It's just a light. When we see alien NPCs, I'm hoping to see them at CitizenCon. I'm not sure if they'll be. I don't think they'll be in game properly from CitizenCon onwards. We should start to. We should start to see some of the progress. Then that's my expectation anyway. Any news about the Carrick? Not really. Nothing new. 125 meters long. It's going to be in 3.8. It's almost certainly going to be shown at CitizenCon with the Pisces as well. I think there's going to be intercoms on ships that you can use. They sort of suggested that's a thing. Do they serve beer at CitizenCon? I believe so. I would... yeah, but they choose venues that serve alcohol. They are aware of their audience and that I require fueling. Any news on the X1 bike? No. None at all, actually. I haven't heard anything on it. Do you suspect they're going to rework the hovering mechanic first? I think you'll see updates to the hover mechanics, especially with the sort of like changing out of hover mode with this new IFCS assist mode. I mean, that's not necessarily affecting vehicles that hover on the ground so much, but I suspect they'll get some light tweaks, definitely. Oh, Taz G, thank you very much. Was wondering, what do you think the next ship will be? RSI Mantis. I think the RSI Mantis heavy fighter will be the next ship. I think we'll see it within a few days probably of when they stop the Nautilus sale, and then it will be a heavy fighter from RSI. And I think they probably brought that forward from CitizenCon, changing some of the stuff they're going to have at CitizenCon, or at least some of the sales they have at CitizenCon. Once our actual solar system is in game, what sort of lore do you think will revolve around that, and will we be able to land on Earth, and will Earth will be 1 to 10 ratio? Yeah, so I suspect there will be landing zones on Earth, and I suspect that will be a thing in game. Yeah, I suspect it will be 1 to 10-ish ratio, and there will be major landing zones, which will sort of like be London, New York, Tokyo, and Moscow. What's the Mantis? So the Mantis was originally a leak that Star Citizen Leaks found, being a RSI heavy fighter, sort of like in the game code mentioned, and was expected to be at CitizenCon, but in the Concierge newsletter, it was something's coming from RSI soon that just went out, so we're expecting it to be the RSI Mantis. Yeah, there's a huge amount of lore from sort of like modern day all the way up to now in game, which is 2949. There's any news on in-game pets? That was a thing, right? So you should start to see animals in-game at some point, or at least them starting to work on them properly. They've done lots of concepts for them. I am expecting to see alien NPCs and alien animals at CitizenCon to some extent. It might be very light amounts. It might just be the Vandal, and there might be some like rats or something, more of the Oni crabs or something, but I am expecting to see that. In-game pets are supposed to be a thing. I believe it was the $9 million goals. Funding. It's the second to last one, wasn't it? $64 million was pets. So, pets in game at some point. That's still the plan. I don't expect they'll be particularly... well, maybe they will be useful now. Who knows? Pets to some extent. Expect the starting pets to be, fish and then creatures in terrariums. But potentially, maybe they'll add mechanics, and I hope they do. And they've talked about it before, actually, where you'll be able to potentially capture animals and transport them, stuff like that, with specific cargo containers or whatever. Maybe there'll be a farming ship or cattle ship, so you can actually take animals around that you can change the atmosphere of rooms in. No, there won't be children in Star Citizen. They are set against that because obviously they don't want people to shooty them. What's the point of hangars anyway? Eventually, well, soon, hopefully, we'll be able to have physicalized hangars that we'll be able to invite people to, we'll be able to store our stuff in. They're important for the game. You're going to have public hangars, like what we have at the moment, on like areas like Lawful and all throughout the game. But some of these areas will also have private hangars that you can buy, and there will be physicalized addresses, the same as Habs. Physicalized addresses eventually that will be visitable. I'm getting questions from YouTube, Discord, Twitch, and some that are PM'd to me. Vampirist, I love your fucking face. I haven't seen you for a while. I love you. You're one of my faves. Thank you very much for the sub. Cash G, any news on medical? Have an Apollo, nothing since. No, so the latest we have on medical is that they're going to be adding the ability to jab other people with med pens in the not too distant future, and drag people as well in the not too distant future, and that med pens are being they're going to be changed so that they sort of like get you back up on your feet, give you temporary health. Osri, thank you very much for the sub. I love your face. Very much appreciated. But beyond that, we don't really know too much more with the medical gameplay. Obviously, it's incredibly important to the game. I'm hoping that they make medical ships respawn points for your teammates. So if someone's in a party with you and you've got a Cutlass Red, I'm hoping that you can just respawn there while the Cutlass Red is alive, and maybe every few minutes, and not constantly if you're just zerging out, but that's the sort of thing I hope they do in the short term. Eventually as well, in the not too distant future, they should be opening up hospitals on the major planets, and you'll respawn there. Are CIG trying to avoid the question about gimbal options for the Vanguard nose, or do they just not care enough to answer us? I think that it's because they're fixed weapons on the ship. So I can poke them on Twitter. I suspect that they will probably answer that later today, though, probably in like on Spectrum or a PM or something like that. I suspect we'll have some information on that, but I'm pretty sure they're just planned to be fixed nosed guns. I'd much rather than be size 1 and be auto gimbaled at the moment with how powerful auto gimbal is. Starkiller, Bored, you missed my question again. I'm going to throw another turtle at you. I'm so sorry, Starkiller. I didn't mean to miss your question. I can't see your question. Ask your question again, Starkiller. Sorry, I just tuned in. Not sure if you covered this. Any news on physical ship inventory? i.e. time to disable versus time to kill. So this is, you're talking about physicalized ship components. They did talk about that in Star Citizen Live. And they are working on it at the moment. Yeah, so we don't actually have a time on that. They have some of the physicalized components already done. They are able to do lots of the stuff with the ports now. They need to do some work so that all of the ships are using the new tech and have all the sort of like stats in, and then actually physically put all the items in the ports so that they actually use them. And then it will be time to disable versus time to kill. Although you'll still be able to occasionally blow up something, like there'll be a critical failure with a power plant or something, and that will cause the ship to explode potentially, but it's going to be much more likely that a ship is disabled or damaged or irreversibly sort of like damaged or destroyed, but not necessarily just explodes. It'll be salvageable, sometimes they'll be repairable, that sort of stuff. And news on weather tech for planets, moons, and nebula. So these are all different things, okay? So there's the gas cloud tech that they're using for like the Odin system and for nebulas and building the coil and stuff. That's had a load of work. That's pretty developed out now. There's cloud tech for clouds or for dynamic weather, which is sort of like layers of fog, really, which they are actually working on. And weather tech in general is being sort of like worked on and off on from a backlog by one or two people, I believe. Citation needed, but they when they last talked about it, that was basically what was happening. And then gas giants are, again, another type of tech. And gas giant tech should be done for 3.9. I believe that's when they are planning to get... Was it 4.0 now? Road. My wires get crossed sometimes. So Crusader's planned for 4.0 now, which is gas cloud giant tech. Gas giant cloud tech. Gas giant tech. Whereas... you'll start to see the nebula type stuff in the game more and more whenever. Like, I think that's mostly done now. Do you think they'll ever give us a camper wagon so I can go around to Hurston and Microtech? You might get something like that. You might get a vehicle that is exploration sort of focused ground vehicle that allows you to just plod around on the ground for a huge period of time. Is it me, or do they need to change the way that oxygen pens work? I mean, is it really a good idea to inject oxygen directly into your body? I think the idea is that they want the oxygen pen to sort of like connect to a port on your suit and add oxygen to your suit or whatever. That's what they should do with it, right? In your opinion, do you think light aspect to the Kraken will make it too weak to be very effective? considering the likely high amount of ships like the Retaliator and other bombers. So the idea with the Kraken, in my opinion, is that the Kraken itself wants to avoid combat with capital ship killers, or torpedoes, basically, and other capital ships, and wants to engage them from long distance where it can use its ships and the ability that it can sort of like restock, resupply, and refuel the ships to its advantage. So yeah, it doesn't want to slug it out. It's not that sort of ship. I don't think it's going to be particularly weak in general, but I do think that if torpedo bombers turn up and it takes a few torpedoes, it's going to try and run away rather than continue to fight in any way, shape, or form. But if it gets pounded by a load of military ships, yeah, it's going to go down. With physical ship inventory, has it been talked about if you'll be able to target specific ship components? That was the plan, and you can actually target specific engines currently in the game. So you will be able to target specific ship components in the future. That's the plan anyway. Will there be space caravan we can take somewhere and use as a temp base to explore and spawn from? As I said earlier, there might be some exploration vehicle in the future, but don't know. The Easter egg in the Nautilus page may be a skull helmet hidden on one of the turrets. When do you believe they will add roads? I don't 100% know. They've had tech working for roads, then they sort of like changed the way the procedural tech worked, and they'll be adding roads and rivers and stuff in like that later. So I'm not entirely sure. I think you might see them on certain planets in the future. Maybe not so much on the ones we already have, but maybe. With harvestables and land claims, it seems ripe to have farming in game. Do you see something like this happening, or am I just seeing things that aren't there? There is going to be farming in game. At the moment, it's going to be hunter-gathering, gathering and harvestables rather than the farming at the moment. Farming a little bit later, I would expect. So maybe end of next year, if you're lucky. I suspect that will be sort of like land claim gameplay, will include farming to some extent. That's in my opinion. Doesn't necessarily need to be accurate, you know, just something I hope. I just want to have a quick look before I go at the Nautilus picture again. So apparently, potentially on this picture, there's something a little bit hidden about one of the blades, but I'm not sure what. A Cylon in there or something? There's like something there. I'm not sure what it is. One of the like blades is missing on it. I actually don't know what it could be. This is they basically said, it might not even be this picture, but I'm pretty sure it is, that there was something on the Nautilus media, and this is part of the Nautilus media, from the blade that some people haven't noticed yet or something. Or maybe someone did notice and they were talked out of it. I'm not sure what this is. Are you actually seeing what I'm seeing? No, you're not. This is it. This is the picture. There you go. Apologies. Anyone see anything interesting there? Something might be there on top of on the blade. One of the blades is missing. Missing on its arms, the blades. Maybe more segmented or something. There appears to be something extra on the turret that is not shooting. What? Something extra on the turret that isn't shooting. Where? What does he mean? What does he mean? The one towards the right of the picture, just behind the big gun in the foreground. What? Look, I'm dumb, okay? Little, this one. I think there's something here. It just looks like the Nautilus mine to me, mate. Or do you think it's this little green patch? I don't fucking know what's here going on. Who knows? I don't. I'm dumb. If anyone thinks they know why is, please. I mean, you could PM me, put it on Reddit or something. Where can you find the original picture? On the Nautilus sale page, I believe, is the best place to get it. Get the Nautilus sale page here. Let's have a look, see what people are saying at the moment. Do you speculate that server-side container streaming will be discussed at CitizenCon? Yes. Potentially demoed, yes. Potentially. But they want it, trying to get it into 3.8 at least, partially. Gimbals on the blades, gun is wonky, or maybe. I'll bring this fucking page up again then if people are interested in seeing it. While I chat and look through. What do you think is the biggest reveal at CitizenCon in respect to the persistent universe? New system, jump points. That would be my expectation. How in depth will repairing be? There's going to be subcomponent changing. There's going to be hand repairs with tools. There's going to be switching in and out of components. There's going to be larger hull repairs with ships, and then larger external repairs as well as dry dock repairing. What else have we got? So yeah, I thought shark fin on top, but then I realised there's the laser going over the top. It's got. Is that one got a different arm? That one's got like a scythe arm, hasn't it? And it's got broken bits. Like, If this is troll, good fucking well played, Disco. Well played. Can't go any further left to the big turret than that. What are plans for the weekend? Planning to join Rexzilla on stream for some ops on Sunday. And obviously just started a video each day. Already discussed Zin's contract a bit further for doing editing work and general hyping up the channel full time, which will be good. And playing lots of probably Apex Legends and Gears 5. I don't actually know what planet or moon that is. Right, I am going to pop off in a second. I've got a new video out. Please check that out. Going over loads of the Star Citizen Insider stuff, as I call it now, which looks at the Star Citizen videos and gives them more context, and then talks about some more of the more in-depth news. If anyone's got any ideas about what that could be, the interesting thing about potentially the blade in this video, the screenshot that I'm looking at, feel free to share it with me. I love you very much, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go and find someone else to stream to. Who else is online? Give HC Vertical some love. What's that big thing behind everything? It's me, mate. Tubby BoredGamer, mate. You think the 890 fuel economy needs rework? Yeah. They talked about that in the stream. It's bugged. The fuel amount that's nomming up is entirely bugged. It's going to be using a lot less. It's going to be expensive to run those ships, but it's a lot less. But we are going to give HC Vertigo some love. He is a great streamer. You should give him some I don't know, 07s or fucking something. Some BoredGamer remotes. I don't know. I don't do shit like that. I don't know what's going on. But I love your faces. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, feel free to come onto my Discord and poke me, or my Twitter and poke me. Suggestions for videos or whatever. Thank you very much for supporting my stream and channel. Thank you very much for the donations. Very, very much appreciated. Especially J.O.B. and Robert Johnston. Fucking huge donators as ever. Genuinely, really, really, really appreciated. But you can support the stream and channel and my videos by donating, by becoming a Patreon, by becoming a YouTube member, any of those, sharing videos, all that sort of stuff. Even just sharing ideas. It's very much appreciated. Fucking love your faces. You take care. And let me just type in some commands. /rad HC Rook. I go. Oh, Vertiho. No, I don't want to raid HC Vertiho. That's not a person. Vertigo. Bam. Is that correct? That's better. Thanks very much, guys. Love your faces. Love. You take care, and I'll see you soon. Oh, do want to do some more 890 jump and in-game stuff, potentially on the weekend. It depends on how long Rexilus stuff's going to take and when he wants to do that. So I need to double check with him. I might do some stuff on Sunday. If not, we might do it on Monday. Yeah. Sunday or Monday. I'll do stuff for Rexilus. Anyway, I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.